Welcome to Ravenland. For 10 human generations, the blood mist, a red and ravenous haze that rose from the ground at night, devoured travelers. Few dared to venture outside after nightfall, and fewer still know for sure what lies beyond the horizon. The demonic mist that covered the lands for 3 centuries, draining the life out of anyone who dared wander too far from their village, has suddenly and inexplicably lifted. Restless souls are finally free to leave their homes and travel far and wide in the forbidden lands, looking for treasure and adventure. The brave sharpen their blades and prepare to leave. They cannot bear the oppressive weight of their homes and hearths any longer. Adventurers, treasure hunters, scoundrels, not heroes, far from it, but men and women who dare travel the land as they choose and make their mark on it, unbound by any fate or story set for them. They hunt for ancient treasures. They fight whomever gets in their way. They build a new world for themselves on the ruins of the old. They are the raiders of Ravenland, the Forbidden Lands.
Howdy, friends and floor heads. Welcome to a long wait for season 2 of the Forbidden Stream. Got to start with some new faces. So you'll notice in my bottom left, my good friend Jim is going to be taking over the character of Osric. We will miss Aloy. Aloy was a great player, but sometimes life demands a little too much of us, and we can't make it. So, Loloy, you did a great job in season 1. We're going to miss you terrible, but I'd be lying if I wasn't excited about Jim coming on. And then to my bottom right, you'll notice another new face. As seems to be the tradition, we've got someone else playing Vasilla for this session. Unfortunately, Maeve had some technical problems and lost internet a couple hours ago and was unable to get it back. So Dave is another good buddy of mine, a local. And what's great is both Jim and Dave have been playing in my local game of Forbidden Lands. So they're both very familiar with the system and the game. They went through the Hollows in their game. They did not go through Weatherstone. So there's going to be a lot of new things for them. I want to welcome back Brian. Brian, how are you?
It's good to be here, man. It's good to be back.
Now, has Sten cheered up at all?
No, God, no.
All right.
Slept on broken ribs. He's going to be crankier than ever.
All right. And then Nate, it's good seeing you again, man.
Hi, Craig.
This was too long to wait for. So I want to start off, and we're not going to do a really long recap. So a Sidewinder, I apologize for that. But we don't kind of really need to, because we're kind of starting fresh. So very short. These four characters left Oakenheart when the blood mist lifted. They traveled to a village and they found called the Hollows, where they encountered all kinds of strangeness. A dwarf who said he wasn't a dwarf. The dead that seemed to commingle with the living during the nights. They saved the dwarves' life because there was dwarves hunting them, and they directed them to the dead, and the dead took care of that problem. They then explored, came across the yellow-eyed stag. That stag lured them or took them to a ruined castle of sorts called Weatherstone. There they met a minstrel calling himself Dalb, who incidentally also had yellow eyes. Dalb spoke of the great champion of Raven's Land, Zygofer, who was going to save Raven's Land from the demon infestations. Talked about some treasure that was in Weatherstone, including a sword. The four adventurers went in. They encountered a Frankenstein monster beast, which they barely escaped. They came across some harpies, and with a little bit of wits, without raising a sword, were able to get free of the harpies. Then they found a dead king laying in a bed with this sword that was mentioned. Upon grabbing the sword, they realized that the dead king was tired of lying down. And not only did the dead king rise, but apparently all of the dead bodies they passed along the way rose as well. So we had a very exciting battle at the top of Weatherstone, culminated in their escape. So I'll start with you, Jim, because even though you didn't play in season one, I know you watched season one. For you, Jim, as a viewer, what do you, if you were to put together the season one highlight reel, what was your favorite moment in season one?
So I think we chatted about this before. I think I could watch a cut stream of people reacting to learning about the undead in the Hollows. It's so just all of the reactions where it's like, wait, what'd you say again? Do what with the bells? Wait, the dead what now? And
No, you're just screwing with us, right? Right?
like I've actually gone through the Hollows like 3 times, and it's always slightly different, but it's always that moment where you go, wait, and then of course it's usually that first place you go, so it's like, is this abnormal, or is the fact that we didn't have this abnormal? Everywhere you go now, the nighttime is just terrifying.
I gotta tell you, running the Hollows twice for 2 different groups was really fun because there was a lot of the same, but a lot of different. Like, so Dave and Jim's group became obsessed with the border between where the dead could cross and didn't cross. And we spent like 4 hours exploring like how close could they get to the dead, how far, and to the point that with this group, I got rid of all of that. So there's these stones that line the pathways in the book, and the first group I ran it through was my locals, and you guys got so obsessed with the stones that for the stream group, I didn't even mention the stones. I didn't even get into the stones, which was really funny. So, but it's neat and a tribute to this game, right? That you can find joy in running the exact same adventure site because it's not a module, it's a location, and the table decides what's going to happen there, which I think is fun. Brian, you're putting together the next clip for the highlight reel. What would be your clip for season one?
I mean, there have been a lot of really fun moments going throughout this because, I think we've got a great table and a lot of great characters. But I think probably the most in-character classic for me was when we were dealing with the king and his skeletal army had just awoken, and Vasilla basically stood up, put the crown on her head, and tried to order the skeletons to go back downstairs. That's an all-time classic for me. That is the essential Vasilla.
I agree. How about for you, Nate? What was your highlight for season one?
I mean, I gotta go back to the Hollows and just the leading the dwarves back in and just like, oh yeah, just go into the cemetery at night. That'll be cool. That'd be good, right? It'd be fine. You guys would be fine.
It was something I did not anticipate. And I just kind of let it happen, and it ended up being a great moment. So let's talk about where we are now. It's morning after a pretty insane 48 hours of going through and surviving this ruins. It's the 9th day of Springwise. It's been just over a week that you've left Oakenheart. This might have been the best night's sleep that you've had. So as a result, we've gone ahead and we've healed all of your attributes as a result. It's about 6 o'clock in the morning. The sun is breaking up over and starting to fill this watchtower where you had encamped before. 2 nights before, you had shared rabbit with the minstrel Dalb. He is no longer to be seen. The one concern that you had before going to bed was the monster. And it was evident that the monster was bound to the castle because the monster came down, attempted to come after you, but was unable to leave the castle, which I think is why the four of you realized this might be the safest place. As you wake up, everybody feels great, except Aldrich. Aldrich, for whatever reason, you slept well. You know what it's like to have a good night's sleep and rested. But that being said, you feel somewhat drained. Not really clear why, but I need you to go ahead, and I'm trying to look it up here as I'm talking. What do I need to lower? It's
Agility and wits.
Yeah, so take 1 damage to your agility and 1 damage to your wits for me. Who wakes up first?
Probably Sten. I mean, he's an old man and doesn't need a lot of sleep anyway. And he probably does that classic wake up. It's like, I fell asleep. What's wrong? What's coming? It's been that kind of a week. And he kind of looks around and everything seemed to be under control. So probably
Who's next?
I could definitely imagine Osric being an early riser. Hits the sword forms in the morning and then is ready to hit the day.
How's Osric feel about his new acquisition? Osric had picked up from the hands of the dead king, picked up this sword, which is beautifully balanced, beautifully made, oddly rusted blade, but has already proven to be quite a strong blade.
I think that for Osric, this is it's the beginning of his hero's tale, which I think is the beginning of his hero's journey. He's wanted, the reason he left Oakenheart was to find adventure, and so this is pretty great and pretty interesting.
I very rarely take player agency away, but Vasilla's obviously the last one to wake up.
Yeah,
if anybody's going to sleep in, it's Vasilla.
Yeah. So I think what happens is when Oscar gets up and starts like moving and like huffing and puffing and doing sword form, she like glares at him, rolls over, and like pulls her blanket up over her head, like, "Come on."
Aldrich, what happens when you awake?
I think, Aldrich kind of is like sleeping like the dead, and then just all of a sudden, just eyes bolt open, hand goes to his face, and he's feeling that scar, and he has that dawning realization that, well, that all happened. And like the first thing he does is he goes and grabs the scepter and is just observing it almost obsessively.
The precious.
That's what I thought too.
Who's going to wake up Vasilla?
No.
I think Osric will do it. He knows that things have to get done and we got to get moving.
Aldrich would, but he's occupied.
With his scepter.
Exactly. Busy.
Wait.
It's time to start the day.
Did you make coffee yet?
Oh, that sounds like something that Sten takes care of.
Is it though?
I get the feeling
I don't think that's among my talents.
You can't talk to Sten until he's had his first cup of coffee.
You can't talk to Stan anyway.
So somebody makes fire, kind of push back the little bit of a chill that's in the air. You know that by midday, looking up in the because there's no ceiling, right? All you have are broken floorboards that are above you in this watchtower. You can see that it's going to be a clear day, and by afternoon it should be fine enough where you wouldn't need a warm fire to go. But for now, that feels really nice. And I'm not sure who might start this conversation, but I think the question that looms for everybody is, what's next?
I mean, Sten is not shy about offering his opinion. So once, everybody's up and we've reheated some, cold venison or whatever it is that we have, laying around and are munching on, and it's like, so what are we going to do with these things?
Well, we're going to be heroes. Duh.
I was afraid somebody was going to say that. There's going to be a lot of folk out looking for these, and I don't know. I feel like if the Rust brothers come calling with a squad of their troops, we'll be hard pressed to hang on to them.
Yeah, that would certainly be a problem, wouldn't it?
Right?
I guess I just I don't know if I expected we'd get this far.
I mean, you could just charm them, can't you, Sten?
No. Nor am I likely to shoot them if there's enough of them coming after us. But I don't know. I don't know that there's anyone I'd trust with them other than us, but I don't like the idea of keeping them on us forever. So other than knocking down buildings, what does that shiny stick of yours do over there, Aldrich?
Do it now, Craig. Do I have like a full enough understanding of it?
What you know is, it makes you feel more powerful from a leadership standpoint, right? So you feel like you might be a leader of men. That's what this is meant for. You did experience its ability to shake the ground, right? You slammed it to the ground and it caused that wave of earthquake. You also do get a sense that it's not without a cost. So that drained feeling that you have, Aldrich, it doesn't take too long.
I know it's coming from the scepter.
Yeah, that it's
Gotcha.
and it feels like it's asking it of it, right? So it's not like holding it makes you tired or anything. You feel like it's drawing energy from you.
Interesting.
But it does, to reinforce, it does have that ruby. And if you remember, that was a big discussion that Dahl mentioned, was these elven rubies, and to collect them and get them into this crown and then giving it over to Zygofer was going to be the key to save Ravensland.
Right.
If you believe that. I think
so,
we've heard varying opinions on this Zygofer fella.
Yeah, so what I can
seems like the trustworthy sort.
What I can say of this is that it has power to sway people, to inspire, perhaps even control, and it has a connection to the earth. But it is not without its costs.
What do you mean?
It takes of anyone who bears its power. I can feel it already. I wonder if perhaps any of us are not powerful enough to wield this sort of artifact.
Like, are you going to have shorter fingers or something?
Well, more like I'd be likely to probably pass out and not be of much use.
Well, I mean, if you'd pass out, I actually would kind of like that, so you should keep using it.
Well, if that's something that you use to control folks, that's even less folk on the list I'd want to have having access to it.
And notably, we have to suspect that points to the ruby, that this would be one of the gems for the crown, which has its own set of problems.
So we gotta find this crown, right?
Do we?
Yeah. There's
Would
four
there
of
be
us.
someone that you'd want to take them to instead?
Look, I don't know any more folks than you do other than back at Oakhart, and I don't feel like anyone there is set to be a king.
Yeah, not really.
Look, there's four of us, and there's 3 artifacts, right? So indubitably, there'll be something that is for me, because that's how it works in the Tales. And you'll get your scepter, and you'll have your sword, and Sten's definitely not getting the crown. So I'll get the crown, and then Sten will get, I don't know, happiness. I don't
The
know.
rate we're
And,
going, I'll be dead by then. That's fine.
So we have to go find the crown. That's how the stories work.
All right. And how do you recommend we do that then?
Well, you're the hunter. Could you find any other golden-eyed stags?
Who knows? They might be a dime a dozen out here.
It's true.
First one I've seen, but haven't been outside of
Who
town
knows?
until the last week.
Yeah. Who knows what the blood mist is hidden? We'll wander on, right? Do we have a map?
You do not. So
Okay.
they don't
Well,
have
I mean,
a map.
we have the map of what we have discovered so far.
Right.
Correct. And as you step out from the watchtower and kind of wander away a little bit from Weatherstone, packing up camp, you notice that there is as close to a trail as you might see, and it seems to converge here on Weatherstone. And to the southeast, you see the trail go, and it would lead back, or to southwest, I'm sorry, it would lead back to the Hollows. It seems to follow that river that you followed to get here. You see a trail that leads more to the northwest, which, looking at kind of your crude map that you've been sketching as you've been going, could lead you back to Oakenheart, or at least towards Oakenheart. And then another trail, which is where the fork converges, seems to be leading east. To the north of you, you can see the edge of forest. To the south of you, because you've already crossed, was the beginning of some marshlands, which seems to continue east. And based off of the breezes, Sten gets a sense between the marshlands and the winds and the smells that, there's long talk of, the ocean and the coast. And if anything, it's supposed to be east, and it smells like east.
I got it. Okay. Osric, you're going to hold the sword. You're going to think really hard about the crown, right? And then you're going to point it out, and you're going to turn thinking about the crown. And then when you feel the crown in a direction, that's the direction the crown is in. The sword will show us where it goes.
Oh, sure. Like in the Ballad of the Princess Bride. I remember that one.
Yeah.
But this sword is not one of the gem swords, so I don't think
Right.
that's gonna work that way.
Good point. All right. So the scepter, give it some more of you, and then you do it. You don't need your
Wow.
pinkies. If they shrink, it's fine.
I would also like to suggest that before we get too anxious to go on the road, as much as I would like to leave this place behind us, that we check our gear. I know some of at least my armor that I acquired took rather hard beating.
My bow could use some looking after.
We might need to take some time to get ourselves back in order.
Do you want to do some quarter day activities? Are we thinking?
Yeah, I think we need to take a second and get ourselves readjusted.
Now, the only way we know back into what is the tower that is Weatherstone is to again cross the moat of doom.
The super safe moat.
I guess we could climb the chain back up
Could climb the
to
chain
the
back
tower.
up.
Okay. Okay.
Jim's an excellent climber. His characters never have trouble with that.
So it sounds like, Aldrich, you want to do some repair work this
Yes.
quarter day. Does that sound right? All right.
Yeah, before we
So-
head out, I'd rather err on the side of caution.
Mm-hmm.
And let's take a quick look here on your gear.
I've got
Your
damage.
leather armor took some hits, didn't it? So let's go ahead and
Ultimate hits.
let's do a crafting roll.
All right,
Let's
I
see
can
what we can do.
absolutely do that. Apparently not. But I will absolutely push that.
All right. So
no
before you
risks.
push it, I want to
Oh.
know what that means. So what do you do to push it?
I think he's like getting frustrated. He's tired because of the scepter and the injuries. Just everything's kind of getting to him, and then he's just kind of shakes it off, gets that extra cup of coffee that we prepared, and just kind of like pushes through it.
So you picked up a Bane, which automatically now in this new version of
Ooh,
Foundry
nice.
automatically takes it off your strength. So how did so you got one success, so you can add another one gear bonus back to your leather armor. What causes your strength to drop?
Probably just that exact thing of pushing through, just
Yeah.
pushing to like just without enough, rest or energy, just kind of continually pushing through, but it's just making him more tired, but he's determined to get it done.
Not careful with that needle.
Exactly.
Right in your hand.
Who wants to tell me who's next for the quarter day?
Well, while Aldrich's working on the armor, I'll probably go out and do a little hunting. I think we're all right on food, but it never hurts to have some more.
I agree.
So I think I can just click that from the party sheet.
Yeah, you go right to the party sheet and you put yourself in hunt. And first, you want to find prey.
Oh, I suppose I should do that. Let's see. My survival roll is modified by +1 because of my talent. And I think that's all the things. Certainly
There
found
it is.
something.
Wow, very, very nice. All right, so let's find out what it is you found. So let's see here. Find a prey. Okay, so you found a deer.
Excellent.
This
Just
is
what I
going to
was
count
looking
as
for.
5 meat and 3 pelts. Let's go ahead and now kill the prey. The modifier difficulty is 0.
Okay.
So
But I
this is
still get the bonus from the talent, right? 'Cause that's
correct.
for hunting. So, all right. Well,
Outstanding. So
fresh start to the morning.
as a montage, Sten, let's
Mhm.
talk about this 6 hours of hunting.
Okay. Well, he it's sort of, while he's within sight of the tower and the camp and everybody else doing stuff, he's probably kind of, hobbling along and complaining about his ribs and everything. But as soon as he finds like some forested area or hills, all that sort of goes away and he sort of gets in the zone. And I mean, the ribs are still bothering him, but he doesn't really feel it. So, it's just the kind of thing where he starts, checking the ground, finding some dung or whatever and following it along and, paying attention to the wind and finding a good vantage point. The actual kill is pretty sort of matter of fact. He's just sort of going along. He sees a deer in the distance that hasn't noticed him because he's, coming from upwind and, he's been very quiet and he just, aims back, takes one single shot, hits it, a couple others scatter off, and he goes over and starts dressing it.
So we're going to see at the end of the day, or at the end of this here around noonish, we're going to see Sten with this deer carried on your shoulders. I've added the 5 meat and 3 pelts to your character sheet. It's going to overburden you, so we're going to have to figure out before we get moving what we're going to do about that.
Yeah.
Osric, how is Osric spending this quarter day?
It's a good question. Does one of us need to keep watch to make sure that terrible
not a
things
bad
don't
idea.
happen to us?
That's always a good choice. Yes.
So let's go ahead and take Osric and slide him over on the travel sheet, and let's click keep watch.
I'm not very good at that.
Better than no one.
It's probably true.
Probably.
See, you're fine.
Got it.
Excellent at keeping watch.
And Osric, I'm imagining it's kind of split, right? So it's a little bit of sword work. A
Right. I
little
can
bit
imagine
of-
he's sort of taking like a perimeter walk around and just keep an eye on everything and make sure that there's nothing sneaking up and no patchwork beasts leaping across the 15-foot gap between the Weatherstone and our watchtower.
Yeah, I'm imagining too for every eye that you put on the perimeter, there's an eye on Weatherstone at the same time
Mhm.
between the harpies and the beasts. But it's an uneventful few hours as you spend that. Vasilla, how do you spend your quarter day?
So I guess the only things that I can think of that Vasilla needs to do is either go back to sleep because you idiots woke her up so early, compose a song about our amazing deeds, or fish, or maybe fish and compose a song at the same time. So probably as long as there's. You said there's a not a pond, a waterway next to the between the watchtower and the evil castle.
There is. Does anybody want to talk
I
about
wouldn't.
fishing there?
I wouldn't want to fish in the
Ugh.
moat.
Yeah, the
So
moat.
they you included encountered quite a beast
There's a
that
tentacle
apparently is
monster
living in that moat
Oh,
around
yeah, I
where
don't
you
want to do that
fish.
then. No.
You know,
Nope.
but if you
Nope.
would like to maybe look for some fresh water, I would allow a scouting roll to see if you can find some fresh water. So if you want to open up your character sheet and give a scouting roll.
Sure. Go scouting. Scout. Oh, wait, that's not in that one. That's in this one. Roll.
So let's have you find a small pond, maybe maybe I don't know, say just shy of a quarter mile, just outside of Weatherstone, away from the marsh, and it looks like pretty decent water. So if you want to go to the group sheet and
Yep, and move
move
me
yourself
to
over to fishing.
fishing. There we go, and then press fish, and then roll. I'm just going to take my one and not push.
Yep, and because this you didn't push, you obviously that bane doesn't mean anything. So let's go ahead and add a meat to Vasilla as well. I will add that for you.
Danke.
All right, so Vasilla, you're overburdened a little bit with adding the meat. Sten is as well. As we're approaching noon, Sten and you come back from the hunt fully laden with a ton of food. Aldrich was successful, though frustrated in fixing his leather armor. Osric kept watch during the entire time. It is mid-afternoon.
I mean,
That's,
despite himself, Sten is kind of grinning when he comes back because he knows he had a good run.
That's quite the kill, Sten.
Well, I think this should keep us going for a bit.
Oh yeah.
We
I
can get it
can-
cooked up.
I
It'll
get that
travel
prepped
all
up.
right.
Probably also take a look at your bow too at some point.
Oh, that'd be lovely. Yeah, it's just a little weak right on the edge here.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't have any like crafting skills or anything like that to help with. So if you're gonna do that, was it Osric who was our cook? I can't remember.
No, I'm the cook too.
No, he's
Oh.
the cook and the crafter.
I'm the craft monkey.
So
Okay.
just some mechanics real
Mhm.
quick, right? So we could have Aldrich then, now that he's seems satisfied with his armor, returning 1 gear bonus back to the armor. He could then take a look at your bow and attempt to craft that as well. And if we want to just lower your meat, the deer meat by 4, if it's
That
eaten
can be what we
within
eat
the
today
day,
instead of cooking.
Need today's
Correct.
rations.
Yeah.
Sure. And that would go ahead and count as everybody's food for today.
Yeah, be
Yeah, I
quick.
suppose that's fair enough. We've earned a fresh cooked venison steak. I think we've got a
Yeah.
fire here, so.
So Aldrich, let's do that craft roll real quick, and let's see how
Alright.
if we can return Sten's bow back to better condition.
All right,
I'll
here we
just
go.
shift the meat down to 1.
Not breaking Sten's bow. Boom.
Hey, look at that.
So how much damage did the bow take?
It had just taken 1, so
Perfect. So it is right back up again.
good as new.
Reinforced that slight crack that was there. Everybody eats and eats well with some fresh deer meat. Let's go ahead and do our water roll while we're there. The only person who doesn't need to do it is Vasilla
Nope.
because of the
Oh, no.
pond.
It drops down a little bit. I'm still good.
And in this new version, that automatically takes that for you, Sten. It automatically should have dropped your water for you. A die. Did it do that?
I
Because you would have been
don't
full.
know.
So I think you went from a D12
Yeah, I think
to
it was a
D10.
D10, so it's a D8 now. All right.
Yep. Yep. So you're in good shape there. So you guys, for the rest of the day, are good as far as supplies go. And we are now looking at early evening. It's about 6-ish.
I'm gonna be working on my various companions on how we need to go find this crown, and like within this where we started. We just started wandering to begin with, and why not just wander? Clearly, we're fated to rid our land of demons.
So let's
Well-
go ahead and let's have you do the keep watch roll, if you don't mind, Vasilla.
I
It's
can
something
do
she's
that.
very good at.
I shall keep watch. Get out of here, Osric.
And while that's happening, is there anything particular
leave.
Osric wants to do? Does Osric want to train?
Because we're spending a second quarter day. Is that what's happening?
Mhm.
Did I just
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
How does Osric want to do that? Do you want to take a current talent and increase it? You want to increase a skill?
I think I will take. Is it Path of the Blade? Path of the Blade. I think I will take a melee charge, rank 2.
And what does that give you?
It gives a +1 modifier to the attack that comes at the end of a charge.
Very nice. Very, very nice. So is the day starting to fade? You're still a couple hours from sunset. We can spend the rest of the day here.
I think there's no sense in setting off now.
Yeah, I think this is a safe place to stay, and we set off in the morning.
Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. So we've got yet another quarter day. Somebody will need to make camp.
That's a survival thing.
It is.
I can do that.
Yep. And somebody has a tent. Who has the tent?
Osric has the tent.
And Oscar, what's the gear bonus that Sten can use with the tent?
I
think it's 2, isn't it?
I think it's
I believe
+2.
so.
All right. So go ahead and give you your 2 gear bonus as you make camp, Sten.
Oh, that's not that. That's that. We already had a perfectly good camp here.
I'm imagining between the rabbit food and the crumbs of just everything, the cleaning of the deer, let's have some rodents that have kind of moved in to the watchtower. So I think that if you wish to push this, it's going to be a matter of either clearing out those rats or finding a place outside of the watchtower.
Yeah, I'll work on getting the rodents out of here. Problem is, when you rattled that stick on the ground, we got a lot of holes knocked in the walls, and the rats can
All
come.
right, I get it.
Do you though? I don't know why it didn't roll those dice in chunks.
I know it's funny, isn't
It
it?
does that when you push. It did that for me too.
Yeah.
It wants to be dramatic.
So it should have automatically
Yep,
done
it hit
1
my
damage to
wits
your
damage,
wits.
and it added me a willpower too, which is nice.
Beautiful. But you have no trouble making camp. So that takes care of Sten's quarter day, Aldrich's quarter day on the bow. Or no, you've already taken care of that, right? That was the second. So this is the third day. Aldrich, Vasilla, and Osric, how do we want to spend? Someone want to keep watch?
I'll
How
keep
much-
watch. If I have Osric in the keep watch pane with me, if I hit keep watch, will he roll as well?
I believe it only matters if you click it.
Okay. Well, let's see. That's me keeping watch.
Oof.
That's our
Wish-
Vasilla.
Does Vasilla
Still, while
want
having
to-
dice for keeping watch.
Nope.
It's
She's
distracting
very
very
excited about.
easily.
She's like playing her lyre. Like it's
Slightly distracted?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
she's trying to convince these morons to we gotta save the world.
Osric.
Osric, what am I gonna do with this quarter day? We have someone who's gonna. Is that it's Aldrich or I has to sleep?
So what I was gonna do, I mean, I can either sleep or I was going to collect the leftover meat that we had and use my chef talent to cook it up into rations.
Because the person who sleeps this quarter has to keep watch.
It keeps watch next
for
quarter.
next
So,
quarter.
do you want
I've-
me to rest
we've
and then keep watch
established
next
that I'm
quarter?
We've established that I'm not good at that.
Then I will rest. I will sleep.
All
I'll
right.
take
So
the early sleep.
Aldrich goes to sleep.
And now I have to figure out what to do.
And you could help Vasilla keep watch if you want.
Mm-hmm.
Not that that's necessary.
Oh, I could have done that. That would have been a thing to do.
And actually, it occurs to me that I think Sten has another quarter day coming to him because I hunted the first one, and then I made camp in the third. I don't think I actually did anything during the second.
Oh, okay, great.
So if you don't mind, I'm going to make a wits roll to see if I can pick up the path of the arrow.
Excellent. Let's do that.
Da-da-da-da-da.
So a little target shooting.
Yes, exactly. I mean,
Like
I
his
already
newly
feel
fixed
like I
bow.
proved it this morning, but Why I am not oh, there it is. Click in the right place. Of course, my wits is damaged now, so this is not the best time to do it. But
No,
what are
it
you
is
gonna
not.
do? Oh well, I'll get there eventually.
But you were practicing with a broken bow in the second quarter.
Yeah, there's the
Mm.
problem. Yeah.
Osric?
Oh, what will I do?
So there's somebody keeping watch.
There's already someone
and-
keeping watch.
And there's a possibility that Osric would have recognized that Vasilla is very concentrated on practicing the song that Dalb taught her, and may not be doing the best.
The best of jobs at keeping watch.
Yeah. so
Yeah,
you're
I feel
welcome
like
to do it.
the idea that I would have helped would be great, but that's like rolling one extra die. Is that right?
No, you can do it as your activity on your own.
Okay. Then I will roll. We'll see how it goes. Apparently, just enough. Vigilant is Osric.
Can we get the Osric shaking his head while Vasilla is not doing the job?
Exactly. Just really, really the liar again.
All right, so we are then going to head down and fall asleep for 3 of us. Aldrich, you will wake up and you are going to do some cooking versus some keeping watch, right?
Yep.
Well, I don't know, because I think there's we only have 1 meat left.
We have 2 because Vasilla also has
Still got
meat.
The
fish.
fish.
Oh, that's right. You got the fish. You're right. You're right.
So for each success, he'll be able to up 2 people's die.
I
Food
mean,
die.
either that or I can keep watch during the night and then do that in the morning, and then we can head out after a quarter day.
The other thing I'm willing to do as a quick retcon is we can have Osric sleeping with Aldrich, realizing that the jobs are set out that way, and we can have Osric having the success in the 4th quarter, keeping watch while you cook, Aldrich. You want
We
to
can
do that? Okay,
Yeah,
let's do
that's
that. That
fine.
makes sense.
During the 3rd quarter, someone ambushes us and we all die.
Well, you know,
It was a
Well,
ruse
we're
the
already
whole
on
time.
fourth quarter stuff, so you know.
all part of Craig's sinister plan.
Totally worked.
Ah,
I got you now.
oh, I cannot get me to add to
Stupid
sleep.
players. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
That's to make you sleepy, but you're fine. You're good. All right, so Aldrich, let's get that cooking roll.
So is that just a craft roll? Because as far as chef says, I can turn D6 units of vegetables, meat, or fish into food.
Oh, there's no roll then. All
It
right,
requires fire and so I just need to roll a D6.
great.
Which, how do I do that?
/R
/R
space
D6.
D6.
Gotcha. Cannot convert undefined or null to object.
Is it 1d6?
There's a roll
it's
button
1d6,
at the
yeah,
top of
I've
the
got it.
character sheet too.
Let's do that.
Perfect.
Base 1.
Not bad. Yeah, we're using the official Foundry.
Okay, so I can only use one of those. So probably, I think
Yep.
we maybe used a bit too much of that deer. We cooked a little too, or ate too much of it fresh. So I just look at
There's
the
nothing but
leftover
scraps
deer.
left.
There's not much of
Yeah,
that.
well,
Look at the
that's
fish.
fair.
That's a good sized fish. I can make something out of that.
All right, so who needs their food die up by 1?
I'm
I'm at a
at 8.
10.
I'm at 8.
I'm also at 10, so sounds
Okay.
like one of the 8s can go to a 10.
Yeah, you want it? I'm good. I think. I can find my own if I need to.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so I'll go ahead and add that to my supplies.
Okay.
All right, and so
So
that
you
other
stole my fish and shoved it in your bag while I was
Yeah.
sleeping?
Correct. That's exactly what happened.
Oh, Vasilla's much crankier now than I remember.
So Sten, you can go ahead and get rid of your meat because
That
that's now
last meat.
gone.
All right, cool.
We do have 3 pelts though, so I don't know whether we want to spread those pelts around. Those pelts could be potentially used to craft, things later. But I know that we're also pretty
Very-
burdened at this point, right? Does
Yeah.
anybody have anything left on their?
I
no
have
room.
1 space.
I cannot.
Well, have a pelt.
All right, so I will move a pelt from Sten over to Osric real quick. And then the other pelts. We're just going to ditch the other pelts?
I guess we're gonna have to.
I mean, it'll. I'm fine carrying them if we don't have to run anywhere. But
That's true.
Just ditch them when we have to run.
But if you
We could
run
se-
and you're over encumbered,
I think
Remind
I
me
have to
what
make a
happened?
move roll, which I'm terrible at
Oh yeah.
right
Well, you
now
definitely
because
shouldn't do it.
ribs. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, if somebody wants to carry them, I
That's the
think
deal.
it's
Is
fine.
it's just a move roll?
Right.
I
Then
believe so. Yeah.
Why don't we put them up over this planking so this nice little campsite has a roof for the next travelers?
you're so kind.
She just doesn't want to carry them.
That's fair.
No.
I mean, not that I blame her.
So we're now at our third morning here near Weatherstone. We didn't no, we did. We cleared out. That's what we did. We pushed to clear out those rats. So we were back in that broken watchtower again. It's a cloudy morning. Still a little chilly. We've got a nice little fire to keep us warm. Everybody is rested. Everybody is fed from yesterday. Today's a brand new day.
Craig, remind me, when we were right before we met the yellow-eyed deer, we were following a horse that we had found that showed some signs that it was from maybe some kind of wealthy family or nobles or castle or something.
Correct. And you had found on there, you'd found a kind of a crown headpiece that had a sigil that matched the sigils that were in Weatherstone.
Right. And that's the one that Vasilla traded to the Harpies, yes?
Correct.
Okay. So we don't have that, but still, if we can find where that horse came from, that's likely to be a place that they'd want to know about what happened. Maybe we don't tell them what happened to the tiara, but we find our way and talk to them, and who knows, they might know more about the political situation and give us some ideas about what to do with this sword and scepter and crown nonsense.
And when you last saw the horse, you were just south, and it headed north alongside with the deer when you lost track of it. So it headed toward Weatherstone, but now that you're in Weatherstone, you have not seen this horse nor the deer for the entire time you've been, in this area here.
And it's been enough time that I don't think we'll find any tracks of the horse.
Yeah, it would have to be definitely a -2 tracking.
I mean, I'm willing to take the shot, but I guess the question from there is, do we think
And you
they're
said
more likely to have been east or north?
that there's no northern path, right? It's
No,
north.
if you zoom in on the map, you can kind of faintly see those paths that spread off from it. So you see there's a path kind of off to the northeast, one to the southwest, and one to the northwest. The northwest takes you back towards Oakenheart. The western one takes you towards along the river, likely towards
The Hollows.
the Hollows, which you're dying to get back to. And then the one to the east northeast there is unknown, but seems to be following the marshlands, right? So you're right at that border of this plains area and the swamp marshlands.
Greg, I cannot see the map.
You cannot see the map.
It's on the Foundry. Is it like behind
There's
your
like a
character
top
sheet or something?
little. No, I've closed my character sheet to see if I could find it.
Okay,
And the top left button is a world map button. I see that, but I pressed it and nothing seems to have occurred.
all right, you should be there, but
It's mostly black. It's just like a small green dot is all we know.
Yeah.
all right. So let me see if I can fix that. So I will mess with that real quick.
Well, while
Okay.
he's looking at the map, I feel like, since we don't have a strong way to go, east might be our best bet since it's, new territory. I don't think there's any reason to head back home just yet. In the Hollows, I can go a while before I visit them again.
Yeah.
Now, north through the woods is an option. It just would be off the beaten path. Is that
Yeah.
All right.
I feel like following the road for now until we find
sounds good?
something else of note is probably our best option.
Okay.
Dave, if you zoom in or zoom out, does anything happen?
No, but let's not worry about it because
Okay, great.
Because the exploration is easy enough to explain to me.
Yep. So where are we headed, kids?
I'm voting
going
I have
east.
one last question.
northeast.
Do we feel okay about leaving the demon monster for the next person to find and have to deal with?
Versus.
Yeah,
Don't open monster inside, right? In big letters.
Yeah, that's what we use one of the pelts for. We'll write it.
Okay.
Nail it to the wall.
Sold.
Monster inside. Do not investigate.
I'm gonna make that a really pretty verse, but pretty clear about it. I'm not gonna make it confusing verse, but a clear verse.
All right, so let's go to the travel sheet then. We're going to head to the northeast. So we'll need someone to lead the way,
So my
someone to
job's
keep
watching.
watch, and then the
Yeah.
other two will have to hike.
My job's keeping watch, so I will do that.
And I feel like leading the way is kind of my shtick.
I will just follow along, hiking.
And you'll form the head.
All right, so let's start with lead the way from Stag.
Okay. I'm just checking. I think I have some sort of bonus for that as well. No, I can succeed automatically if I spend a willpower, is what
Right.
it is. Okay, so no modifiers there. Well, I think I'll spend a willpower point.
Okay, so you spend the willpower, you successfully lead the way. Let's keep watch, Facilla.
Okie dokie.
Let's see how focused we can be.
Oh,
Perfect.
seems fine.
It's fine.
Okay, all right. Now I've got to do my little.
What
Fun
horrible
stuff
thing do
here,
we
so-
come across?
Give me a
Like, it's
chance.
the Forbidden Lands. Nothing ever bad happens every 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, why do we leave our village?
Ah,
Day
Russ-
after day of
Russ
horrible
Brothers
things.
showed up.
So you head off
People say
into
that bad things happen.
It's a different thing.
the northeast. And as you go, a few things. One, you see the marshlands are continuing off to the south, southeast. Oops, who just moved
My
me?
bad. That was
All
me.
right.
wanna go
And out of
back.
curiosity,
I
Dave,
changed my mind.
did anything change for you, Dave? No? All right, we'll figure it out later. But a pretty boring, which is not a bad thing, little journey as you kind of follow this path. I would be curious, would the four of you follow the path or go adjacent to the path? How are we going to treat the path?
I mean, is it relatively flat? Is visibility good for a distance?
It is.
I'd probably stay on the road then to make it easier to travel until and unless we see anything weird coming up.
Yeah, and the grass that's off the path is a good waist high. So, from a safety standpoint, there's a benefit of obviously staying on that road and having that visibility in front of you. Now, you're still within this quarter day, can travel one more hex if you'd like. Do we want to continue along the road, which takes us off to that northeast?
Yeah, I mean, if we
Yeah, I think
haven't
press on.
encountered anything, we may as well make good time.
All right, so let's go back, and you can probably your sheets. You can probably stay right where they are, right?
Yep.
All right, so let's do the.
Unless Facilla
the
wants to
way
trade
again.
off, because I can also.
No, I got it.
You got
Got
it?
it.
All
Yeah.
right,
I
let's
did a
make
great
way.
job. Nothing
What could
happened.
possibly go wrong?
Like, I'm keeping really good watch. Did anything assault us that you didn't know about?
I'll
No.
spend another
You're right.
willpower
I
point.
can't argue with
Don't
that.
like
What
pushing
is that?
things.
Where's that put you, Stan, for willpower now?
I still got 4.
Okay, good. So you spend it
I got
because of
beat
your
up
talent.
pretty good.
4.
Yeah.
Oh, and
Because
I healed the wits damage after last night, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And
Are
then
you ready
keep
for
watch.
my amazing watch keeping? Here we
Wait.
go.
Hey, there it is.
Ooh, look at you.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to spend that extra success for you.
Okay.
So as you're making the way, you could swear off to the northeast along the marshlands. It appears. Is that smoke? Like the faint smoke, it'd be miles ahead. But as you look to the north, the grasslands continue. You can see off to northwest. You can realize that the forest kind of curves off from there. To the south is that marsh. To the southeast is that marsh. But along the road, you get the faint sense that there might be smoke up ahead.
Okay. So not like a giant bonfire, not like a town's lit on fire, but maybe a campfire kind of thing.
Yep.
So who wants to make friends? Because I think there's friends ahead of us.
All right, so I'm going to take you there. And I'm going to describe to you what you see, and you're going to see this way ahead of you. So it's going to be well within, say, easily 700-800 yards ahead, with the grasslands and everything, because you're looking, you're from a point of relative safety. What you do see, though, is you see what looks to be maybe some sort of outpost. So there's wooden palisades that are obviously encircled. It appears maybe if there is any type of gate or door, it might be facing towards the south, towards the marshlands themselves, towards the road. There's 2 watchtowers. It's difficult from where you are to tell whether there's anybody in those watchtowers. But as Vasila first noticed, there is actually several plumes of smoke coming up from there. And to be clear, Vasila, it's not like it's on fire, right? They look like campfires, or maybe coming
like
from some
hearth fires
chimneys.
or
Yeah, and you see, you really can't see over the palisade, so it's very difficult to sense what's behind those walls. But you do see 2 large wooden watchtowers that are leading up from it.
Cool. So, friends?
Seems like.
Remains to be seen.
I mean, I expect we approach with caution and hopefully friends.
Aye, good enough.
Sounds like.
So, obviously very warlike, or at least concerned about something, right? So, be friendly, Sten.
Why me? I'm friendly.
I think you know why you.
So I'll give a little bit more detail as you guys continue walking towards this. At any point in time, obviously you can say, Craig, we stop. Okay. So as you work closer, you're getting more and more detail as you can come in. You do see that there appears to be 2 figures in each of the watchtowers. It appears the gate is open, and it appears there is at least 1 figure in front of the gate. There's no sign right now, Vasila, that they've in any way recognized your approach.
Is there any kind of noise that we can hear? Any normal hustle bustle or clanging or any noise at all from them, or is
Not
it still
really,
too
no.
far? Okay.
Not from where you are.
Do the people in the tower or the one in front of the gate, do they have weapons like out, or are they maybe armed but not, poised for battle kind of thing?
Yeah, I think you would have to get closer, Sten,
Okay.
to really get a sense of that. They appear to be standing, right? So they're not in a fighting stance or crouched. There's nothing that would indicate that they're in the midst of a battle or anything along those lines, but it's very difficult to tell, what they're doing outside of standing in the watchtowers and appear to be at least 1 figure in front of the gates itself.
Are there
From their band size, right?
Yes. Yeah, they appear to be human sized.
Are there any banners or flags or anything? No.
Not from where you
No
can
symbology?
see. No. Yep.
Interesting.
Well, I guess keep walking. If it looks like any of them turn to us or notice us, then we'll give a big friendly wave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as you work closer, Sten, you notice that each of those figures do appear to have maybe some short spears in their hands.
Okay.
And the watchtower that's closest to you, you can see him shift, and you can kind of see the figure kind of doing this. And
Probably grimace when you do that. Like,
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. This is the phasey thing.
yeah.
Yes, I'm waving. I'm friendly.
they don't wave back,
Mhm.
and they appear to be indicating inside your presence. So you see, once it recognizes what's going on, you see, and it turn towards the inside of the palisades, and then come back out. And it looks like 2 figures by the door are working their way towards you. As they get closer, it's obvious they do have these short staves. You see glint of a shine of the sun off their heads, indicating some sort of helmets. They're not running
So-
towards you; they're just walking.
Probably stop, because if we have to run, I mean, we won't because friendly. But if they're disinclined to have visitors, then we'll
Well, if
farther
they're
away from
coming
visiting.
towards
They're
us
not
to
making a
talk, we can
threatening
meet them
advance, right?
halfway.
Yeah, they're not like pointing spears at us and charging
Yeah,
towards us,
but
right? They're
they,
just
you know,
advancing at the front gate.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, they just want to talk.
So as they approach and get really within shouting distance, one of them yells, "Who goes there?"
Hi. We're walking down the road. We're from a town that away. I'm Vasilla. How are you?
"What is your business?"
Well, I sing. I'm pretty good at it. You guard. That's your business. Although I don't. Is there like things to guard around here? You've got some nice walls. Lovely walls.
We're just looking to explore, maybe trade if there's anything worth trading for that we have. Don't want no trouble.
Are you coming to the first retreat? Or are you passing through?
I mean, I didn't even know this is the first retreat. Is that what your walls are called?
This is the first retreat outpost.
This is the first time we've been this way since the mist lifted.
So you've not been called here by Heartscar?
Can't say that we have.
Cloven?
Heart scar.
Any of these names ring a bell with any of you?
Oh, we're just...
Sorry, no.
What is it you have to trade?
One deer pelt.
We had some pelts.
One.
Is
pelt.
everything else we're carrying like used by us?
mostly
I mean,
essential,
you
yeah.
know, yeah, we've got
Yeah, we have not accumulated a massive trade goods at this point.
true.
So he says it again, like maybe you didn't hear him. What is it you have to trade?
Information,
Song,
expertise.
friendliness.
Know that you're greatly outnumbered.
We're not looking for a fight.
Yeah.
Of course, if they are, they could take us down without much of one.
I don't know. We're pretty awesome.
We will stay here. Approach.
All right, we'll do.
Yeah, we'll do.
Okay.
As you get closer, you're starting to get a better sense of these two men. You assume they're human, though quite honestly, they're completely covered head to toe. So they've got both two metal helmets, same fashion. They appear to have some cloaks. It's not too hard to discern that they've got some sort of chainmail on as well. Both armed with short spears. They both appear to have bows slung over their back. Now, what's interesting is you can't see their face. They've got a cloth mask over their face that has slits on the eyes. So their faces are completely covered.
This doesn't look anything like the outfit that the Rust brother we met was wearing, does it?
It does not.
Okay.
So Heartscar, is that the gentleman that you mentioned, or general maybe?
Yes. Zerlek Heartscar, he founded First Retreat. There's times where he will call people here. Didn't know whether Heartscar did that. And then, of course, the holy man, Cloven, he has been known to direct people here as well. We're wondering whether
For
you have
what?
been summoned to First Retreat.
Not that we know of.
No, I've not met either of those people. They sound nice. I mean, so why would you get summoned to First Retreat?
That's a
Seems like a
discussion
place you come back to because it's a retreat.
They kind of look at each other and there's a discussion going on, and turns back and, if you wish to come with us, you can come in. You can discuss this with Heartscar. That's not for us to discuss.
Okay.
Keep your weapons sheathed. We will react.
Yeah. I heard about this song, and well, a verse in a song, obviously, but like we can like tie a ribbon on him or something, right? And that's like sign of peace.
Your vocabulary for a child is impressive.
Well, I just say I know a lot of songs.
So they turn their backs to you and kind of head back, which I think maybe probably, especially for Osric, is a little surprising, and for Sten as well. And that's either a sign of foolishness or a sign of confidence. It's hard to
Right.
really know which.
Seems like it would be a sign of confidence from
They
a
certainly
group of heavily armored guys with
yeah, exactly.
4 war behind them.
And you guys head towards what they're calling the first retreat. And it's as I described, and it's not large. And as you come to where you can look into the gates, they start to approach on their way in. And stopping for a moment to take in new information, right? Being able to actually look through the gate. You can see there's maybe 2 or 3 longhouses that have been constructed and built. Aldrich, you would guess there's no way this is a year old.
Wow.
Looking at the wood that was used to build this, this would seem somewhat fresh. Now you do also notice logs tied in a defensive fencing that could easily be moved. So they're set near the front door, and that would obviously be easily moved if they wanted to put in front of the gate to guard any type of charges or stuff that went in there.
Fascinating.
You see people walking. You look up to the watchtowers. They are looking very intently at you. Everybody is the same, very similar, not exactly identical helmets, chainmail, short spears, and their faces are completely covered.
So this looks like a more or less an all military operation. We don't see like civilians or, I don't want to say camp followers, but support staff.
Yeah, so far, no. So far, everybody seems to be dressed for battle.
Okay. Are there any stables or anything like that?
Not from where you can see.
So,
no.
Okay.
As you get closer to the front gate, you now get a much better view inside. And your best guess, based on what you can see and what you can't see, maybe there's 15 or 20 that could populate this, that could hold here.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's interested. So those that have been walking around are stopping. They're looking. Nobody's being threatening.
I wave.
Nobody waves back.
Oh, well, they're not threatening except that they walk around in full armor with masked faces all the time. But
they're not directly threatening.
So from towards the back, and probably the largest of all of these longhouses, there's 2 things. One, there appears to be a decent sized cage, also made of wood. There appears to be at least 2 figures in there. From where you are, it's not real clear. They are not dressed as the others. And then coming out of the longhouse, accompanied by 2 men, is a large man, easily 6.5 feet tall. He's eaten well. He's got very ornate pelts on, chainmail on the outside of his outfit of his clothing. He's got, as he approaches, he's got very dark, heavy eyebrows that like kind of hover by themselves over his eyes. The other thing you notice is the large patches on his face are scarred, which are obviously old wounds. So they've obviously healed, but you can see the raised flesh on these scars, and they appear almost like bleached strips in different directions covering his face. I'm told you're here to trade.
Yes, sir.
Sten actually kind of stops right before he comes through the gate when he sees the cage, and he just sort of says to everyone and nobody, "Who's in the cage?"
Prisoners. None of your business.
It is if you're thinking about putting us in there with them.
Friendly.
Not stupid.
I assume You're at your word. We have things to trade if you have things we want. If not, you're welcome to move along.
We're more looking to potentially establish trade amongst our own home village, which is nearby, and others. We're scouts upon the world now that the mist has lifted.
Are you from the Hollows?
No. We have passed by the Hollows, but we are not of the Hollows.
So where are you from?
A small village called Oakenheart.
You see him turning. We're not familiar with an Oakenheart. How close?
About how close are we?
About a week.
Kind of
Yeah.
taking a long way around it.
I mean, if we took a more direct
Yeah,
route,
it seems
maybe
like we'd be, what, 2
4
days?
Yeah, 2 or
Yeah.
3 days north,
Don't tell
northeast
them
of here.
Too much.
About a half week's travel.
And this village, is it new or did it survive the mist?
We survived the mist. We've a long-standing village.
Which brother monitors and keeps your village?
I know it.
We had no brother.
That's
you see
correct,
him-
right? We had no Rust Brother.
Yep, we knew nothing
We
of
had
First
it.
you
never
ever
heard of them
of
until
Rust
yeah.
brother was the Hollows.
Okay.
So he at that he turns and he talks to one of the guys that are with him, and this guy heads off to a different longhouse.
Are
You're telling
you
me
guys?
this- You tell me there's a village, and you had no brother watching the village.
First we knew of them was the Hollows.
Interesting.
Of you? Are you Rust Brothers? You don't dress like the other gentlemen we met.
No. Brother Cloven, of course, watches over this outpost. He'll be out in a moment. But that's interesting. That's very interesting. So coming out of that longhouse as this discussion is happening, brought back by this person that was sent in there, is a short man, robed. The clothing looks like an old burlap textured brown robes. He's carrying a very knotted staff. He's not a heavy set man, but he's not a tall man. He's not Vasila short, but he is not very tall. He's got kind of a light tint to his face, makes him look kind of dirty in different patches. But as you realize as he gets closer, it's just kind of a strange discoloration on his skin, and it's hard to tell, but it almost looks like his eyes might be slightly different shades of color. And the other thing that's odd is the color of his teeth. They're kind of this weird discolored gray color. So there was people in Oakenheart that didn't do the best job taking care of the bones in their mouth. And they would yellow, they would darken, they would blacken. But these are just a uniformly strange gray. So the guy turns to him and he says, "They say they're from a place called Oakenheart, not monitored by a brother. Brother Cloven, do you know of this place?" He comes with his staff, working his way towards you, walking older than he looks, keeping a distance from you, noticing that you're not fully entering the outpost. "We know of Oakenheart. What they say is true. We kept our presence unknown to them. I think we need some clarity, though. I see no carts.
We're scouts.
For who?
For Oakenheart, it's the first the villages had people go out.
Oakenheart
Well, that we know.
has no real militia. The only thing that protected Oakenheart through all of these years was the mist itself. You guys kept to yourselves that entire time. You were never a threat.
Mhm.
So what is it? What is Oakenheart hoping to gain now that the mist is lifted? That it sends you?
Connections with the world.
To
Moving
establish
on
a
from
trade
the
route.
isolation.
Exchange
There's
information.
there's like a blood mist, right? We don't know what's out there. we didn't know if there was people still in other villages. We didn't know if there was, I don't know, whatever weird thing is happening at the Hollows that I don't want to go back to. Like, like it's a big wide world, you know.
You had no Church of Rust in Oakenheart, though I believe there were some believers there. Tell me, what is your relationship to Rust?
I didn't even know about Rust until the brother at the Hollows. Well, that's not true. I think
Yeah,
John was a Rust brother. Not a Rust brother, but like, you know, a Rust person. He didn't like to talk about it much.
So he's not quite sure what to do with you.
None of us are.
No,
Welcome
no,
to the club.
Did we establish that we know that Rust is like another name for the
we
Raven?
know there's.
yes.
I think we know there's a god by that name.
Yeah, you've made the connection between Rust and Raven, right? That the
Mhm.
two are by many considered one and the same, but not by those that worship Raven and not by those that worship
Mhm.
Rust, right?
Mhm.
They don't believe they worship the same entity,
Okay.
but non-denominational beliefs are like, yeah, like those goofballs all worship the same god.
None of us are particularly devout followers of any deity.
No, Osric, I think it was the only one of the four of you that had any interest in the gods, and I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Osric, you believe the gods exist, though you don't have any particular allegiance to any of them.
Right. And I know that, earlier he performed a ceremony for the fallen that was sort of multi-denominational, right? Where with both the Raven and
Spiritual,
and
but not religious.
right.
Well, if you wish to trade information, we're happy to sit down. We're going to eat here in just a moment. You're welcome to feast with us. If you wish to just trade and move along, show us your wares.
I guess turn back to each other. Do we care to stay for dinner, or do we think we should move along?
I don't.
It's what time of day? So this is like the first
noonish.
Yeah, that's the first chunk, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm happy to.
And you can
Never.
see them setting up a table towards the back left there. So it appears that it's about feeding time for this outpost. So you can see, meat being brought out and the tables being set, and slowly the different guards that aren't really focused on you. You see people kind of congregating there. You do get a little bit of a closer view of the two people that are in this cage. They are almost naked. They've got rags that cover it. One is a male, one's a female. They both look emaciated and young. If either of them was 13 or 14 years old, you'd be surprised.
Well, maybe we can take a meal and try and find out a bit more. Can't say as I like it, but
I'd like to know what they're doing out here.
I mean, our whole purpose out here is to discover the world, and I think
there's nothing wrong with talking.
this feels like an important piece of the world that we should know about right in our back door.
fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, I like food. I got to grow big and strong like that guy.
So, as you're chit-chatting, it seems like there's at least two people that are anxious for an answer.
Yeah.
Yes,
So-
we would stay for lunch and speak with you.
Can we cover very quickly what we'll trade after lunch? Is it more than information?
Well, as you can see, we don't really have a cart or a mule or anything to carry much, so.
Yes, we have very little in physical goods at the moment, but
So I don't know how you keep yourselves fed here at your beautiful walled location, but we have quite a few farms and food at Oakhart, and it's barely not even a week away. So perhaps some kind of relationship with food provision would be worthwhile to you.
So the large man who you've figured out his heart scar kind of turns to Brother Cloven, and you see some nodding. A little bit like that makes sense, right? kind of discussing
Also
between them.
means they could just conquer the town
So
if they wanted
Heartscar
to.
goes, good. Let's sit and discuss. Let's sit. So
Okay.
All right.
we montage a little bit as you guys kind of work your way there. Long tables, several long tables. The estimate was pretty good. There's 18 of them, unless there's some hiding somewhere. And this is not counting 20 if we count the two friends in the cage. And very simple stew is being served to everybody. The food gets served. Everybody's focused on the food, not a whole lot of talking going on.
Mm-hmm.
And all of you pick up on this, but kind of at different stages. Is nobody's taking off their masks. The only ones that are unmasked are this Heartscar and this Brother Cloven. But obviously they need to lift the masks to eat. And what you do notice for all of them, though, as they lift, is in the different points in different areas on their neck, on their chin, kind of on the side of the face. Some lifted up far enough and you can see around the nose areas, though none lift above the eyes. Each of them, and to different degrees, have kind of these pustules on their skin. And some of them are just kind of a red and just starting to bump. Others have just an infestation across their jaws and their face of these pustules. Some of them are very red. Some of them have burst at some point, to the point where I'm not quite sure how hungry you really are.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go ahead and go to break. We'll be back in 10 minutes.
Wow.
So as you can smell the food, the stew coming up from the bowls, fill your nostrils. It smells good. I think you guys all kind of piece it together pretty close to each other. And I'm imagining some glances being shared as each of you kind of get in the know and you see the, thank you for the bets, as you see that being pieced together. And everybody right now seems focused on eating. And I'm going to have Sten and Osric both notice, not in any type of hurried way, they seem to be closing the gates.
I will definitely nudge the other two and make sure they're aware of that.
Mm-hmm. Aldrich just kind of nods.
Mhm.
So Heartscar was one of the first to finish. He wipes his jaw. So you mentioned information. Tell me what information you have.
Well, first thing I notice is that the gate's closed.
I've only got
You
two men on
often-
watch right now. It's not been latched. You can see that. If we wanted you dead, that would have happened long before you came in the Palisades.
Mm. I'm less worried about dead. What do those two do?
I mentioned they were prisoners.
Right? I'm wondering what they did to get that way.
Kind of turns to Cloven, and Cloven says, "They are enemies of Rust, which means after their trial, they will be given to Torcock and meet their justice."
So we know about the hollows. Do you know about the hollows?
Of course. Heartscar here, he's from the Hollows.
Hmm.
Really?
Did you have the ale?
Oh, Fail is delightful.
Good ale.
Do you get
As-
shipments of ale? That'd be cool. I'm
We
sure
trade
you guys would
with
enjoy
them.
that.
We trade
Yeah.
with them. I'm sure we'll be busting out some ale later on this evening,
Hmm.
at least for some of us. Has our brewer kept his head on his shoulders?
Oh yes, he is still alive. There were a few looking for him, but it was actually due to our efforts that he remains undiscovered.
So Vasily, you see down at the end of the longbow, you see two of the guys. One guy hits the other one. The other guy pulls out 2 coins and gives it to him.
Um,
Yeah,
So-
the dwarven ale will continue to flow from the hollows.
That's good. That's good. There's many people around the Hollows that are interested in him brewing his beers.
Can't blame him. It's rather
we hope-
tasty.
What we hope is that we start to see trade coming up and down the river.
Yes.
But from my understanding, there's still some resistance to trade coming in and out of the Hollows.
Mhm.
really?
Yeah, the mayor seems to be a bit reluctant.
Yes,
that
we
sort of thing.
we have a brother that's working on that.
Hmm.
I imagine it'll open up soon.
Yeah, we met Brother Sturkis while we were there. He did seem to be having a lot of conversations with the mayor, so mayhap that'll bring you good news.
He's kept the Hollows. He's kept the Hollows for at least half his years.
Hmm.
And he's done a good job. There's no reason to rotate him.
What else do we know?
Looks like some treasure hunters just recently went into the ruins a little bit west of here and died. Seems to be a recurring problem over there.
So you see Heartscar kind of stop and he goes, "Who is this now?"
There seemed like
Um,
nobody's. There was
nah,
one
we-
that made his way out and
Yeah,
ran
said
away.
the name was Farthing, I think.
Yeah, he didn't look good.
No.
So you wait. You saw Farthing.
No.
one of his party.
We found one of his survivors.
And what took them?
Whatever's in that castle.
Yes,
The beast, they say, that can't be killed. Friend of yours, was he?
survivor seemed rather addled.
He was a
I'm
scout from
sorry.
here. Him and his group.
Oh.
The third
I'm
we've
sorry.
sent.
So what are you looking for in there?
There's tales. There's tales that one of the relics that will bring peace back to Ravensland may be in there. And I fancy there's a sword. At least that's the tales.
I'm sitting next to Osric. I'm gonna pull his like, what's a relic?
Not now.
I don't know.
Zerlek, did you mention what this outpost is for?
We did not, but there's no shame in our purpose. We're preparing.
Yeah, it's
We're
first
ready.
retreat.
We are ready. And when Zygofor returns, we will be here to guard his east. We're small now, but we are protected by the rust. And we will slowly grow. And when the second war begins, he will recognize us from the east as we hold.
Hold against what?
The demons, of course.
Right. The demons, of course.
But I thought they went away with the mist.
No. The battle continues. Zygofor fought the demons, held them back, pushed many of them west, but had to drop the mist. That was the only way for all kin to survive. Human, elf, orc, looks directly at Vasilla, halfling. All of us owe our lives to Zygofor.
Well, sounds like you'll need whatever's in that castle then. Hopefully
Pull
the
an
next
Osric's
group you
sleeve
send will do
again.
better.
I pulled an Osric's sleeve and I said, "What's an orc?"
I couldn't say.
Yeah, I'm afraid that we can only send small groups. Now, of course, if the four of you were to enter Weatherstone and bring back either of these relics, whether it be the dead king's sword, or if he does in fact have the scepter, we would pay handsomely for that.
That sounds mighty dangerous.
You two look capable, looking at Sten and Osric.
Wow. All right.
Oh, uncool.
And this is how we start a fight.
That's it.
Hey, on the Night Fae.
Do we know about a first war? Is that a thing that like exists in songs and legend?
There is. So to give you a little bit of background, and it's very foggy, the world, it is believed the world was at war before the mist fell. All of Ravensland was being decimated as they battled through fighting these demons that were unleashed. And there's tales of a great sorcerer, and different tales tell of this great sorcerer as being the ones that held the beasts back, that held and stayed them as they came from the south and from the west. Other tales don't paint him as quite as as well. In fact, there's some songs and legends that he was the cause of the demon incursion. Orcs are known to have been bred by elves and created by the elves in partnership with the dwarves to help in the battles. Though they very clearly emancipated themselves and kind of became their own during that time. But these are all legends. So what's true and what's not true, but but there is commonalities, right? And now that you're hearing Zygerfer being spoken of and seems to tie to this sorcerer possibly. And let's clarify that Dalt made it very clear who Zygerfer was. So I don't know why the skeptic look on your face.
Very clear.
So that's where we've come from. Let's go in the other way. Then I point the wrong way down the road.
So almost looking for permission, you see Heartscar kind of turn to Cloven, and Cloven says, they're going to explore. There's no reason to hold it from them. So if you, little one, are looking more of your own, many of your kin are to the northwest in the woods.
Oh God, this
You
more.
can go to Ruthholm. Now, to the south is Eye of the Rose. We stay away from there. It is owned and infested now with orcs.
I've never
I
seen
don't
an orc.
recommend
What's they
going
like?
north. I'm sorry?
What's an orc like? I've never even seen an orc.
That's probably good for you. Orcs are a mean bunch. They're large, they're strong, capable fighters. Like men, some are smart, some are violent, some are peaceful. It all depends. It's from our understanding, though they're keeping to themselves at the Eye of the Rose south of here, those orcs are not to be trifled with. We are staying away from them, and either they will join Zygerfer in his battle, or they will perish along with the demons. You don't want to go north.
And why is that?
Teeming with heretics. There are some that don't recognize Zygerfer.
Well,
They wouldn't stand when he rises again. Many of them infest the north, which is why we have the first retreat.
Oh, that's where the name comes from. That makes way more sense now. See, I told you. I whack Osric on the shoulder.
So it sounds like you came from the west, from the Hollows. And Clovis here says that to the north is Oakenheart. Where to next? What is your purpose in scouting? What are you looking for?
I mean, places like this, like the Hollows, see what civilization remains out here.
Need to fill in the map.
Perhaps the village of the halflings might be an interesting location to discover, especially given our companion.
They're good people. They are good people.
See, it'll be your turn to not be able to sit comfortably at tables. That'll be great.
as your legs kind of dangle on the stool.
Craig, is there, I mean, the various glimpses that we've seen, is there like a known plague or disease or something that would cause that? So whatever this is, it's new to us. Okay.
Yeah, definitely new to you. And it smells. Right.
Well,
so
great.
like there's a stench now that's kind of filled your nostrils a good bit. And it smells like decay.
Great.
See, they're sickly. We can take them.
Yeah. So our purpose, if you were asking, which you asked about just a second ago, I heard. So I think we're going to be out for about a fortnight, and then see what we can see and survive, right? Which was dubious coming out of the blood mist, and then go home and kind of report, and then maybe go out the other way or somewhere else, or just it's a big world.
People want to travel, but they want to know where they're traveling to.
Do you have a sense yet where Oakenheart will fall in the great battle when it comes?
That's
think
really
they're
the
full of-
first we've come to it. I mean, obviously, we're good-hearted folk. I'm sure we want to be on the side of what's right and just.
and
Good.
not
That's-
demons. Definitely
That's
not.
good. That's good.
Definitely not demons.
That's good. I recommend if you're headed back to Oakenheart soon that you tell them to prepare.
Mhm.
How is this a soon thing? I mean, it's the legends are old, right? Is there like a time that we expect Zygofer to return and lead this war?
It will happen when it happens.
No, like 3 moons enough.
Not
2
Tuesday.
days or
Expect the
something.
unexpected.
Mhm.
When it happens.
So I'm sure you see a fair number of travelers coming along this road. Have you ever run into a minstrel calls himself Dalb?
So turns to Cloven, and they turn back and goes, no Dalb has come by here. We don't see many that travel alone. Are you saying he travels by himself?
Seemed that way.
Didn't have anyone with him when we saw him.
Yeah, he was a big
Must-
fan of Zygofer. Big fan.
That's good. That's good. He's a smart man then. If you see
Oh,
him,
he
tell him to
certainly
come.
knew a lot.
Do you want to hear the song he taught me?
Ooh.
I think that's
Nice.
wonderful. In fact, let's do that. Why don't you a little after midday entertainment? We are going to prepare for the coming justice for our prisoners. It'll set the mood.
It's not a very justicey song, but I'm happy to play it. It's the first. These guys don't recognize my talent, you see, and they have to listen to me all the time, and I really like to play for you.
I still think you're great, Vasilla.
Thank you.
So Cloven stands up and he takes a couple men with him as you start playing Vasilla, and you have captured the attention of everybody. I get a sense, or you get a sense maybe even that this is not very common to have something somewhat joyful and
Live
entertaining.
entertainment.
Yeah, yeah, but also keeping a corner eye on Cloven, right? And
Mhm.
Cloven takes these men and they undo the door to this pen, to this cage, and you see these men holding down these teenagers on their knees, and you see Cloven painting them with his fingers, different colors, painting their bodies, painting their faces in these kind of squiggled patterns.
So I know you guys, right? We've lived in our village for a long time together, and we traveled for a big 7 days. Very busy 7 days. So I can really, really get their attention if I need to distract them from something. So, like, if one of you is like really anti people getting their heads cut off, like, is that a thing that I should be ready for? Because I don't think that's a good idea. But if I know one of you guys are going to be like, oh, it's a great idea, I'll be like, well, we're going to distract people.
Tell us how you really feel, Stan.
Yep.
No, I don't. I mean, as much as I'm against teenagers being murdered in cold blood, I'm not interested.
That's a good
in
thing to be
taking on-
against.
Yeah.
Just as a clarification on where I stand. here.
Teenagers are terrible.
Strong
We're all-
stand there, Brian. Strong stand.
We're gonna live stream us all being complicit in youth murder.
Teenagers are terrible.
But yeah, I'm also not. I mean, if I had managed to learn the armor piercing talent, we might have a different conversation right now. But I don't think I want to take on 18 armored people, including
Sorry,
a rust
kids.
priest. And
I would have helped you, but I can't pass a wits roll. Tell that to their mothers, Sten. Tell that.
I
to
would
their
have helped you, but all of these
But
people
there are a lot
murdered
of them.
me.
mothers. Cool. Then I will not.
I
be
mean, you can
especially
tell that Stan
captivating.
is unhappy about it, but he also knows better than to try anything.
Yeah. Right.
All right, so
More. More importantly,
I guess I didn't ask this. Did we eat?
Well, we just. I was eating
Sten
before I
probably
knew that the
picked
smell
at
was
it.
terrible.
So
Well, so just
the-
to be clear, for those
the
that ate, it
food
tastes
smells
phenomenal. The food
Mhm.
tastes phenomenal. So
It's
the
just the
smell
smell
is
of the
the
people.
smell is from those that, as they lift and
Mhm.
eat and cover themselves. The ones that have the worst of whatever this is are the ones that are smelling the worst. The food is phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm gonna shove my nose closer to the bowl and eat like very.
I think that is the solution. Like
Try and get a
drink from the bowl
minimal
as
amount
opposed
of
to
external
using a
smells.
spoon.
Oscar, do it this way.
But yeah,
Cool. So I guess we're just gonna see what happens with these poor children.
So Vasilla plays, keeping the attention of everybody. For those that are watching, go ahead, Aldrich. I'm sorry.
I'd like to get a sense when Cloven's doing these like the face paintings.
Yep.
Aldrich's kind of tuning into sense magic and seeing if this is like doing like setting up a ritual component, or is this just a thing?
Yeah.
Is
So
this a ceremony or a ritual?
no,
Yeah,
this
exactly.
there's not only a sense of magic, which you picked up from Cloven from the beginning, right? This is a man of magic. That was
Ooh.
very clear to you.
All right.
But not only that, but as this painting is happening, you're sensing the magic in Cloven, directed and centered on Cloven, growing.
Interesting. Oh man, I'm conflicted. This is the first mage Craig has put in front of me, and he's a child murderer. But I
He's
could
done
learn so
nothing
many
yet,
things.
sir.
That's
Sir.
true. He hasn't murdered any children that we know of
Yeah.
yet.
He's
No.
only
Remember,
starved them
there's
and
going
put
to
them
be
in
a
cage.
trial, and then he's going to murder
Yes,
them.
Right.
the
Yeah.
kangaroo court
Only-
trial we get to
only
watch.
if they're guilty.
He
Of
did not
course, yes.
say he would murder them. He said that they would receive justice.
And apparently he likes to finger paint.
He likes to magically finger paint.
So he's
and
continuing
On
the
the bright side,
painting.
he hasn't sensed your magic yet, or at
Yeah.
least
Or-
hasn't gone out of control about it.
I have a lot of magic going on right now. I'm very concerned, especially now that I know that this is a man of magic.
So the painting stops. Cloven steps back out from the cage. The two men lift these children who are now painted head to toe and like squiggly stripes all over their flesh. They taking him now to kind of the center of this outpost. And slowly, slightly, maybe disappointingly, attention is turning away from Vasilla towards the center of what's happening here. And I'll keep describing things at any point. If anybody wants to do something, say something, right? If you see something, say something. So you probably didn't notice it, but there's two posts, spikes in the center, and they're being tied, legs and hands, to these posts so that they can still kneel and stand upright. In fact, the men are keeping them upright. You see Cloven stepping back and around to face them. He sets his staff down. He's got kind of a heavy coat, like a pelt. And that comes off of him and drops to the ground. You see him lift his shirt. Takes his shirt off. And immediately, no pustules, clean skin. Opens his arms out, closes his eyes and starts looking up. And Aldrich, whatever growth of magic has now exponentially increased. Almost feel like you can visualize in the center of him the power growing. You hear a cracking, like bones, as his body starts to contort, almost like he's in pain. And looks like he's growing. So it's like, and you see like his torso start to extend.
So, since
Yep.
he's actually using magic, I'd like to actually go ahead and cast Sense Magic to kind of get a better sense of what he is doing.
Excellent. Let's do it. So what power level are you going to use?
I'll go ahead and give this 2 points. I'll spend
Okay.
2 willpower.
And this is a level 1 or 2? This is just a level 1, right?
The level 1.
All right. So for
Sense
those of you
magic.
watching that aren't familiar with the magic system, the magic system is very interesting. So there's a resource called
Oh.
willpower. They get it from pushing and taking damage while pushing. Other things can give willpower, but that's usually the majority of it. How much willpower do you have, Nate?
I have 8.
Okay. So with the magic here, he can spend the willpower to activate the magic, and the magic just happens. So you don't roll for magic, right? Magic just happens. And for a bit of willpower he puts into this magic, the more power he fuels it, right? There's a downside or a chance of a downside. So for every power level he uses, in this case, he's using power level 2, he's going to roll 2d6s. If either of them come up 1, then automatically there's a magic mishap.
Trying to figure out how to actually use it.
Let me take a quick look here. So if we
Throw
go
me up
to
a little pop-up.
Aldrich, all right, and then we go to talent, and you're going to do
Sense Magic.
sense of the magic.
It's
And
got
then-
a bunch of willpower blocks, but it won't let me change them.
If you right click, they'll go.
Okay.
So you want to right click it so there's just the 2 X's.
I did too much. Okay, there we go. Yeah.
All right.
So, okay, so
You're not using an ingredient, right?
yes. Yeah, this is just what is the ingredient for okay, divine, yeah, I don't have a divining rod, so
Okay.
all right, here we go.
And so it's set to dice 2, power level 2.
Oh, yeah. Yep. All right.
All right. So roll 2 2s.
It's all fine. Everything here's fine.
Safe.
Everything's fine.
What was the number that you blow up on?
The
Ones.
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 So on a 1, then you
Any
get a
single
chance
one.
to-
Sixes,
a
yeah,
single one,
six-
then you get to
The
roll.
one's a
card.
mishap. 6s actually give me additional power if
Right.
necessary.
So with the 2 power that you've pumped into this,
Excuse me.
the magic is from him. It's pulsating through him, completely folded and integrated within him. And you get a sense of transformation and a taste, like literally a taste. Bitter. Demon bitter.
Interesting.
While he's doing that, how are the other folks from this encampment reacting to this?
Enraptured.
Wow. So they don't look surprised. It's like they've seen this before and they think it's awesome.
Yep. So he's continuing to contort. He's elongating. His arms are elongating. He's got vision. He's got facial expressions of just pain on him. But from your sense magic, Aldrich, this is a willful, a willful process that he is bringing forth himself, right? So he's not being attacked in any way. So this is something. His legs come together and touch and fold into one singular shaped serpentine tail starts to grow. So his legs slowly transform into like a serpent's tail. He's now grown to at least 7 foot tall. From his head sprout bursting with blood from his scalp. These black hair-like tentacles start coming out. His nose slides off his face and falls to the ground. Scales begin to pop and appear from the waist down. From his flat nose, there's a row of nostrils that start to appear, like the slits open on his face. And just a row of nostrils come up his face to his eyes. From each nostril, you start to see these black coarse hairs coming out. And as this thing inhales, they disappear, and exhale, they come back out again. Its head turns as it's contorted and looks right at you, Aldrich. And its eyes just burn with violence. It's just pure hate in its eyes, and it you could feel it. You could feel it in your flesh. It feels like someone's taking 2 fingers and pressing it into your heart as it stares at you. You see his mouth gape and open into like this permanent, wide, vacant grin as translucent liquid starts to drop down from his teeth. The jowls peel off, revealing some scales, and his tongue extends and extends. It almost seems black and endless, with kind of like a pinch claw at the end. And as it draws the tongue in and draws out, it never fully recoils.
Craig, this is the Rust Brother. Is that?
It was.
Yep.
Where is the heart guy?
He's watching. He's
relative
watching as
to horrible.
So you guys,
Whoever
just so
Rust
you know,
Brother.
you're about 20 yards away from all of this happening. And this transformation, it's probably taking less time than I am to describe it, is probably happening maybe over 45 seconds. Wings start to sprout and break out from his back. And as it appears he's coming to what you can only assume is his final form, from the torso up, humanoid, almost feminine. Long gaping hands, clawed, still human looking, but just these brittle black nails. But its lower body is serpentile, and its face now is taking kind of that serpent shape with a large grinned mouth. And it just stands over these two.
I'm sorry. We can't let them be sacrificed to this, right?
I'm glad you're saying that.
I'm sorry.
So the first hand
Fine.
comes down and grabs the boy and lifts the boy up.
Oh no.
So the magic is still there, right?
It's
Like,
if
this is an
anything,
infused thing,
it's
right?
worse. It's
Okay.
it's just growing.
So
it.
Craig.
I'm gonna take a risk here.
Oh God.
I'm gonna
I'm
pump
sorry. This is
just
all
about
bad.
all of my willpower into a counter spell.
Oh, very
dispel
interesting.
magic.
Fascinating.
Oh.
Oh, this is a bad idea. Let's see. Dispel magic.
Bad ideas make the best stories.
I'm
I'm
ready.
Not
To,
wrong.
I'm ready to move, but I'm super
I'm-
scared about
I'm
this.
going power level
I kind of don't want
5.
to die.
Power level
You
5.
should save one
Uh-huh.
willpower for
Yep, I
whatever
am.
happens next.
Nope, I'm just no. So
Yeah,
here we
Sten
go.
has just been kind of clenching his hand, but they're trying to stop himself from doing anything. So this will be it. This
a
will be
mishap of
enlightening.
+2 power.
Yep. So we've got a mishap, but you've got a total of 7 power level. It's now going to be his chance to counter it.
Well, the good news is the mishap. There's more of them than there are of us. So who knows what might happen?
Exactly. Numerically speaking, it's probably going to be worse for them.
It's probably fine.
So you're power level 7
Uh-huh.
against.
Give up.
Oh, nice. But that's not a lot of 6s. Oh, but he's oh.
So it's not going to counter,
Oh.
but we've
Oh,
got
no.
now 2 magic
Oh
mishaps.
no.
So the first one we're going to do is yours.
Oh no.
Is he rolling it in secret?
One thing about the Forbidden Lands, it's never boring.
All right, and then I'm going to do it one more time for him.
God, Craig, you had to make it just bad enough that we had to act.
I mean,
I think like Aldrich literally looked over, like looked at everybody.
it's like we're getting up, right? I mean, this is
Ostrich's
happening now,
look, like,
right?
I imagine Ostrich's got like hand on the sword, and it's like, all right, yep.
All right, Aldrich, now that we know what happened, I want to go back.
Okay.
So you see him holding up this body, this boy's body. Its jaws starting to unhinge almost and open, and you see it lowering down. What are you doing? What does this look like?
Yeah. So again, there was that moment where I looked back at everybody else. There's still that bit of kind of trepidation with Sten and Vasilla, but then I look at Osric. Osric's ready to go. He's got his hand on the sword, and he's very upset about this. I'm like, someone's gonna act with me. So I just turn around, conjure all the power I have. I had that feeling when they looked at me.
Mhm.
I felt that bore, and I'm like, there's so much power here. So I just generate everything and just say, no. And just...
So as you press that, and for the other three of you, like you got a taste of this magic and this power inside of Aldrich at Weatherstone, right? You saw him freeze a man there. But this is beyond
Where did
anything
this
you've
come
seen.
from?
Yeah. And you see almost a physical form as he pushes this. You just see power just leave him, and almost like an astral projection of Aldrich goes forward, and it starts just firing towards this demon, which is off to this demon's left, right? And it's taking it as it pushes the boy, it stops, turns, and puts its hand out. And Aldrich, it all comes back.
Oh,
So
Oh, no.
immediately it's just, and it just comes back, and this energy that was there just pulls back into you, and you go flying, and you slide along the table as this just every bit of force you put forward is now coming back to you fully, and you are sliding down the table, and we see the dishes going everywhere. And the falling, this energy that came from the demon is left its hand, and it's coming, and it's swept everybody at the table. So not just you, everybody feels this power as it's coming across you. You go sliding down to the end, and as you fall off the last of the table, all you feel is nothing. So all of this harnessing that you've been doing, all of this power that you have been working with and crafting, this thing that you have been learning and studying during all of this time, you're looking at your hands, and the physical damage you've taken is minor. You don't even register it, but you feel an emptiness. So all willpower is gone.
oof.
And you feel vacant. So all of this training is gone. For everybody else, this energy knocks you back. And again, doesn't injure you, right? And it knocks everybody back. Falling off chairs, falling off the benches, you fall down. And then suddenly you start seeing people reaching for their throats, and they're climbing to the table, and they're reaching, and all of you have never felt this thirst before. Like the only thing the three of you are thinking about right now in the face of this, like you thought the shit at Weatherstone was some shit. You don't care about any of it. The only thing you care about is finding a cup on this table that has some water in it. Let's roll for initiative. All right. Give me just a second here. Ah!
Uh-oh.
All right, there's that. There's that. There's
that.
Let's draw initiative. button, right?
There's like 18 more.
I don't know if we've got that working yet, Craig. Does the
Oh,
No, we
yeah.
don't. I'm gonna. Yeah. So you should now have the combat screen open. So if you go to the swords, and each of you should have a die. So we're not going to do the card draw.
Okay.
So just each of you roll your die.
In the swords, and then
Just to the right of the
there,
chat.
just the die.
Yep.
right?
Oh, there we are. Okay.
So Ostrich has done it.
There we are.
I
All
see
right, we got a
the
5.
nice icon, but it's not doing anything.
So
Mine as well.
to the right of, so you see the D20. If you click on it, it doesn't do anything for you, Sten or Brian.
D20.
Yeah. So if you go to the,
I have a pair of D6s.
Mm-hmm.
Next to
so in the combat screen, so in the
right.
chat screen, if you go to the right screen,
Oh, in the on the chat side, I was looking on my
Correct.
character sheet. Got it.
Correct,
I'm with
correct,
you
correct.
now.
all right, cool. All right.
that's a good number. That's not a good number.
Oh, I see.
All right. I just need Vasilla. All right. So we are going to begin. Let's see. No, we still don't have Vasilla yet. Hold on. I'll roll for you, Vasilla.
No,
I
I
got
got
you.
your old Nate as well.
Oh, why did it? I only saw the 3. for
It's
you,
showing,
but-
it's not
We
showing a
got
roll for
Ryder
initiative,
8,
it's just
Vasilla 8.
Yes,
All right.
the
All right. So I will.
Caledon
Let me
Rider.
change it. I got it. I'll fix it. All right.
Oof. Big oof.
All right. So we will start with Ryder. So
Wait.
the Ryder is.
Are we moving Vasilla to 8?
Yes, I'll have her go next. I've got her 8 in the thing. All right. So starting with
And we can shuffle cards.
right.
We
So
can
right
move
now
orders
you can
around,
change the order. So right now we have got who's first? We've got Vasilla first, Osric next, and then it looks like Aldrich and Sten last. Do you guys want to exchange cards at all?
Oh wait, so it's
Hold on, because Vasilla and I were both 8s. Osric
I
was a
see.
6.
is it
Sten
high
is
Aldrich was a
first or low
5.
first? I thought it was high
Hold
first.
on a second. All right.
It
hold on.
did the other way. Low first, right?
Right. So I'm sorry. Ryder 8, Sten 8, Ostrich 6, Aldrich 5. I've got the Beast at 3, and then I'm showing Vasilla at 3. Let me change her to 8.
No,
Hold on.
Vasilla did have an 8, which he
Yeah,
rolled
he's
just
changing it
before.
now. Yeah.
All right.
So are we counting up or down?
Counting up. I'm sorry. I was looking at the wrong numbers. All right.
There we
So we've got right now Sten, Vasilla, Ostrich, Aldrich. The Beast is last, and our friend
Scarheart.
Heartscar is first. There's
All right,
last. Or he's first. The
Right.
Beast is last. God,
Okay.
sorry.
it is
Counting down.
Got it. Yep.
Right, from top to bottom.
Okay.
So do we want to change anything in any order?
Yeah, someone can go first if they want.
Sten
Well,
is
we're all going after Heartscar, right? Or
Right.
later.
correct. Correct. And then it's going to be either Sten or Vasilla, then Ostrich and Aldrich. Are we good with this order?
So
Do we want Vasilla to go up first to do the war cry?
Well, I'm assuming we're all going to need to at least take some kind of
Drink,
action to get
yeah.
some water. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, I'm happy to let Vasilla go first if she wants.
I mean, sure.
Yeah, go for it. It will whatever we do, it'll probably help.
there
All
we
right.
go.
So
Can't hurt.
all right, so our friend Heartscar, he is in the same position you are. So you see him work his way up, and he doesn't grab one of the cups. He grabs a pitcher, and you just see him dumping water down his throat. And just it's pouring out as he just starts to consume it. Sten, you're next. Or Sten or Vasilla, either one.
Vasilla, I think we were.
All right, Vasilla,
I'm going to find water and drink it as fast as possible.
done. Sten?
Yeah, Sten just grabs the water skin off his belt and just squeezes it.
Okay, go ahead and roll your die for me
Okay.
for water.
Gear, water. Uses some up, which is entirely fair given the circumstances.
Not even thinking, just going
Mhm.
for it.
Ostrich.
Would it be my entire action to drink from my water skin?
To pull out the water skin and to drink it is going to take your full turn because you're not taking a sip.
All right, I guess I'm gonna have to do that.
Okay.
I will roll my die too if I can find myself again.
And Aldrich.
Was I affected by the thirst as well, or did I?
You
was I-
are.
Okay, then that's the first thing Aldrich's doing too, besides feeling bad about all of his magic being gone.
All right. So all of you, including Heartscar, completely taking all the again. And yes, Sidewinder, you're right. Under normal circumstances, it would be different with the cards. The demon doesn't appear thirsty at all.
That's a bummer. Hungry though.
Yeah, we see him take the boy into his mouth up to his waist, and his teeth close as he tears him into two. So you just see him rip with his head and his arms, just rip the 14-year-old kid in half, and just the gore. It just splashes over him and just splashes over the girl with she's got brown hair and she's covered in blood. The two that are holding her now are just covered in blood, and you can just see the yellow of this thing's eyes just grow more and more. New round. You guys have a chance again to switch orders.
Why don't you go first, and I'll yell.
Okay.
Well, I was thinking that if you put an arrow in the girl, the demon doesn't get her power.
That is probably a reasonable conclusion, but it's also not something that Sten would think of.
Cool.
So, I mean, I'm happy to go first if you want.
Okay, so I'll go first. That's fine.
Okay.
But first is our leader of
Heartscar.
of boils and scars.
All right, so we're going to keep the order the same. Is that what I'm hearing?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. So he stands immediately,
Mhm.
and he heads towards this beast, and gets about halfway between you and the beast, and he turns and to face you immediately, and he draws out his battle axe and pulls the shield off his back, and you see him standing between you and the beast.
Wow. Because the beast clearly needs his protection.
Sten?
Are the two men who were holding the girl clawing at their throats and being thirsty?
No, because they were not hit by the wave.
All right, cool. I'm going to put an arrow in one.
Okay.
Because
no penalties. Go ahead.
okay. Yeah. Sten's thought is we did this to try and save these people. We've lost one. I'm not going to lose the other one. So combat longbow. We've
So
got
fast
that
action to draw the
modifier.
bow. Yep.
I
Slow
don't need to
action to
ready.
shoot it.
Oh, here it is. Look, there's a little checkbox for sharpshooter.
Nice.
That's how that works.
you
All right,
go.
cool. Warp.
Oof.
Nice.
All right. So right now you're set to do 2 damage.
And this guy's armored. I'm not getting through armor. I'll push it.
Okay.
Meh.
All right. So 1 damage to the longbow should already be marked for you, and 1 damage to your agility gives you a total of 3 damage. Let's go ahead and give him his armor. All right.
Hey,
Doesn't
look at that.
he's going to take all of it. And let me
Okay.
just double check.
Good shot.
And that
That's not
bane
like
on
that.
his armor means it goes down 1. Is that right?
Correct on the armor. And that means, where am I?
Does he have to push for that, or just always that?
I think it's just always that for armor because
I
armor's
believe
a
so.
different.
Actually,
thing.
no. I think it's only on a push.
Yeah, I seem to remember being only pushes.
I think you're right, but let me.
Oh.
I can tell you real quick
But I
because it would
think-
have automatically removed it. So let me just double check. Yeah, it didn't automatically remove. I'll have to look it up.
Okay, I think the answer is no, but because I
Okay.
remember.
I think we went through that at our home game, didn't we? And we found
Yeah,
out
I
that you
think
had to
so.
push it. All right,
Yeah.
so it goes through. So Sten, you're going to kill him. So walk me through that. So you draw the bow, you pull it taut. There's
Yep.
two guys holding this woman, this girl.
Right, and basically the one that's on my left, I just knowing that they have armor all over this thing and it's just cloth over the face, I just shoot him straight in the face.
Yep. And so
it either
Go ahead.
goes in an eye or gets to his brain, regardless.
well, what's crazy is that at the noise of the arrow causes him to turn towards you.
Oh,
And
that's
that's
nice
when
for him.
that just
Very nice.
and just falls back.
Also, because I have the fast shooter talent, I can shoot and run at the same time. So I'm going to like scramble away from the table and the demon to try and have clear distance for future shots.
Okay, so to give you a sense of where you are, there's a longhouse ahead of you, a longhouse kind of behind to your right,
Right.
with between those is this courtyard where this is all happening and all of the tables. So can you give me a sense, are we going to go towards the longhouse where the big guy came out of, or this nondescript longhouse?
I'm basically going to try and get as far away from all the people I know about as I can.
Gotcha.
If both of those longhouses are the same, I'd probably go towards the one that the Rust Brother came out of.
Okay, great. So you're heading towards the left.
Right. And I will yell to the girl as I go, run. And maybe she can.
Okay. Vasilla.
Are the mooks recovering from the water drain?
So you, Vasilla, turn and you can see as they are taking the drink, and those are relieving themselves and quenching this incredible thirst that came from this power wave from this beast. They have no interest in being here. So you're seeing them scatter. You're seeing them trying to get as far away from what's happening right now as possible. So you see some of them going back to the Palisades. You see some trying to head to the watchtower that's on that side, but none of them are in any way trying to close any distance with this beast.
Cool. Then I'm going to leap up onto the table and I'm going to throw back my head and I'm going to crow because I imagine that I'm in hook. And that is my war cry.
Okay. All right. So for those watching, what does war cry do?
War cry. So it's the Path of the War Cry as the talent. I have rank 2 in it. Rank 1, I can spend willpower points to give +1 for every willpower spent to my allies' rolls until my next turn. And rank 2 is that I can remove one die from enemies' rolls for every willpower I spend. So I can add to my side and subtract from their side.
So how much willpower are you going to spend, and how are you going to spend it?
I assume that the demon is a monster.
It is.
Because note, this has no effect against monsters. So I think I'm going to spend two for my side.
Okay.
And then none for the bad guys, because we only have one non-mook who's fighting, and then a monster who's unaffected. So
all right, so you do this battle cry, just from inside you, deep inside you. You yell out. Everybody's going to be +2 on all their actions until you go again. What I don't have a sense of, and we haven't figured this out yet, like, how does this work? So, and we can do it either from Vasilla's position, or how does this inspire each of you? As Vasilla stands, her little stature on the top of this benched table, and just belts out this war cry.
Yeah. Yeah. How's it feel for you guys? So like, I'm imagining like she's basically Rufioing, like leaping up onto the table and like arching back and like crowing like Rufio.
Yeah. I think in the end it is just that Vasilla is kind of the heart of the group. So seeing her stand strong, I think, brings everyone up to like, yep.
Yeah, that's it, right?
Yeah, Stem is not, and even with the things at Weatherstone, has not been in anything he considers a battle before. And that kind of makes this one, and that sort of kicks his adrenaline up, I think.
Cool. Very, very cool. Osric. Throat quenched, sir.
All right. So I have a couple questions about how things might work mechanically. and exactly where things might be located.
Mhm.
In terms of a melee charge, am I close enough to melee charge either the beast or
You can get to Heartscar with one charge.
okay?
A reminder that Rustbite is a demon bane sword.
I remember that.
I think he's on that.
So
His
is
legs
there-
only go so fast.
Can I get to both? I guess is the next question I have because
No,
with
you can engage if you're engaged with one, you're near the other. You can't engage them both at the
Okay.
same time.
okay.
They're not that close. He's so
Okay.
Heartscar has literally established himself halfway between.
That was my plan. But
Like he
beat
knows
me
how
to
the
it.
rules work.
That's right.
But he beat me to it, so that's fine. So I think I will then melee charge
So
into
can you, for those watching, can you give them a sense of what that talent does real quick?
what that talent does is when you move from near to arm's length, you can within the same action take a slash, stab, punch, or shove.
Right. So that'll be your fast action.
It will be my slow action, unfortunately.
Gotcha. So you will still have a fast action. So the fast action will be to draw
the
Rust
fast
Bite.
action will be to draw Rustbite,
Got it.
and I will give the now well-known war cry of yeah as I as I charge forth towards what was his name? Heart guy again.
Heartscar.
Heartscar.
Hard.
We never called Osric an articulate man, but he's
That's right.
passionate.
So he's there with his shield. He's got his battle axe. You charge towards him.
I will charge towards him and I will take a slash attack. Let's see. So I have sword fighter, I have melee charge, and I get somewhere. Where do those go? Do they go into melee? The +2 from
If you do it, if it's like the archery and you're on combat, if you click the weapon,
right, and I've
You'll only
got
get,
so I've
like,
got
check
sword fighter's
boxes.
bonus. I've got my bonus for melee charge,
right, and there are boxes on the right that you can check for those.
and I checked
Maybe?
those, but I should get 2 more from Vasilla,
Oh, you're right, from Vasilla.
So
I
that you
think
have to
when
add
you,
the two.
and I
when
add
you
those
hit
to
play,
melee,
it'll-
right?
Yeah.
Because they're skill dice. And so my last question is whether or not he counts as demon tainted for the Rustbite effect.
You're gonna do D8, not a D10.
All right. Then I will roll dice.
It's gonna be a lot of freaking dice.
Oof.
It's not
all
a great
right,
roll.
got several 6s and 7s in there.
So right now you're at 3 damage with it looks like 2 banes on your strength. If you
It'll
were to
be
push
4
it.
damage because the sword does 2.
Correct. 4 damage total, so 3 successes.
Right. Yeah, I don't think I can push that.
Okay.
So I'm gonna have
This
to
is going to be a long fight.
But you know what I am gonna do? I'm gonna activate my pride.
Okay, and what is that?
My pride is that I never back away from a fight. And so I feel like this is an instance where I can say that in order to prove that I'm going to stay here and fight this for the duration, I'm going to stick it out and give him an extra stabby.
All right, so for those watching, what does activating your pride mean mechanically?
I believe it rolls an artifact d12
Mm-hmm.
and adds those 6. Oh wait, I can't because I have successes, right?
Oh, that's right. You have to fail.
I
That's
have to
right.
fail
you have
the
to have
roll,
no
So I
successes to
can't do
activate
that.
your
I
pride.
can't.
Yep,
I can't
that's correct.
add successes. I can only
Yep.
succeed.
All right. so
that was
he's
such
go-
a bummer. I was so ready to do it.
It was a good moment, for
It was
sure.
a good moment. Yeah, you haven't hurt your pride yet.
Not yet.
By
So
the
there I
way,
am.
for those watching that aren't familiar with Forbidden Lands, the pride mechanic is wonderful. Basically, it's a truth statement that they each have. That if they have no successes, they can activate their pride, which allows them to roll a d12, and the higher they roll, the more successes they get from it. But if that roll fails, then they lose their pride for the rest of the session, and they have to establish a new pride, which is like, from a role-playing standpoint, is so cool. Like mechanically, it's so cool. It's really cool. All right, so he's going to try to parry you with his large shield.
Great. And
All right, so he is going to knock off 2. So he's going to take 2 damage from that. So you're going to hit him, and it bashes through the shield. Right, it comes through the shield, and he's got to take the shield damage to that too, doesn't he? Hold on one second.
So.
You're gonna shatter his shield.
Excellent.
Nice.
All right, so you come charging at him with rust bite. What happens?
Like I said, I holler out and I give that big giant overhand swing, catches into his shield and basically just shatters it apart and cleaves right through into, I guess, what would be his upper shoulder.
Yeah, and initially he's not scared of you, so he's there and he puts his shield up with his axe ready. What he was not anticipating was you just cutting directly through his shield and cutting into his arm, and it throws him back as the shield just shatters from there. All right, sorcerer, with all your willpower,
I had so much when we started this
you
game.
stand.
I had so many plans.
Your thirst is quenched.
Mhm.
You are all the way at the end of the table as these diseased guards are fleeing and pushing past you.
Mhm. So here's my gambit. Here's the play. Aldrich's gonna pull out the Nakaka scepter,
That's what I was expecting to see.
and I'm gonna stand as proud as I can, just kind of going for the full bluff and just Heartscar. How can you claim to defy demons when this one cavorts with demons? And I'd like to try to manipulate him.
Oh, I like it.
So we get a artifact. It's not going to be great because of my slashed mouth.
I
what
feel
was
like this is
that?
the kind of guy who
I
it
couldn't make
would
that
be
out.
okay for.
Right. I feel like that should be a bonus for him.
He's not one that's going to judge physical deformities.
All right. Let's see if this works. There it is. Nice.
All right.
Did you
he's
remember
gonna-
my +2?
I don't think that
Was
applies.
that only for
That's for
attacks?
attacks.
I think it said for all rolls, but let
I
us
think you
read.
Double check it. Yeah.
All attacks.
Minimum
Attack.
again, and their rolls are modified +1 for every. Okay.
Was it say all
To
rolls?
all
or
attacks. It is there. It is.
all attacks. Okay.
There you go.
All right. He's going to try to defy you. You are successful.
Yes.
So, what's the goal of the manipulation?
I basically want him to kind of do a heel turn. Like you are siding with a demon, sir, and that is against the code that you have laid out
excuse
to
me.
us.
I think it's
so-
technically a face turn.
That's a demon.
yeah, like you
You
said
know
to
those
my
things you said you
demons,
wanted to fight?
There's one
Look
right
behind
there
you.
for you.
So I'm imagining it happens in like this heart scar, for whatever sympathy we can give him. Let's give him this, which is, for whatever reason, he's the hero of his own story. And he is, for whatever reason, decided that he's going to protect whatever this is happening behind him. This man comes and charges, and with full confidence, he puts his shield up, and this sword just cuts through it in a way that causes it to shatter like gas and just gashes into his arm and into his shoulder. Then he hears these words coming from you, and the sound of what you say hits before whatever invisible power comes from the scepter. And he hears you just with full confidence and you just say this, and he turns to you in full defiance, and then just fear washes over his face. And he looks at Osric, and he looks at you, and he drops his axe, and he starts heading for the gate, the closed gate.
I'll take it. I'll take it. Nice. I just picture it like he has the internal monologue all of a sudden. Am I the baddie?
So we now have got the attention of this demon, which has been referred to as Torkak.
Oh, good.
This is
I
fine.
did not pick up that he
Oh,
was
wow.
referring to himself in the third person when he said Torkak was going to decide as a.
So Torkak sees all of this happening, and some of that energy that came from the scepter hits him, and suddenly doesn't give a rat's ass about these kids. So it takes the lower half of this body and spikes it like a football down onto the ground, and just with speed immediately heads towards Osric, only because it appears Osric's in the way, but is focused on Aldrich. and it comes, and its maw just is opening and coming to clamp. Are we dodging or parrying?
I would parry.
Okay, let's parry.
That's in combat.
Does he need to parry if there are 0 successes?
Well, they're decided at the same time,
Oh, okay, got it.
and he's a monster. He can push.
So I have sword fighter and defender, but I don't get anything for Vasilla.
An attack, correct?
Does the that's under gear where I can read that. Does the artifact die change to a D8 on a parry?
It'll be a D10 against this demon.
All right, so I got to change that to a D10. Just there we go. Sorry. All right, so I'm going to roll my parry.
And he is pushing, by the way, just so everybody knows.
That's a good parry.
That's a real good parry. Oh, I pushed your parry. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I hit the wrong button.
Yeah, don't do that. That one doesn't count at all.
No. Lord. All right, so let me see what that Bane went.
It was
went
4
to.
originally. Yeah.
It would have. The Bane was on where?
Strength.
The Bane went to strength.
Okay, so just reset that on your sheet. Give yourself back that strength. I'm pushing the teeth.
It's gonna roll.
I love this
one at a time.
Low roll.
Dramatic.
It's dramatic. I'll give it that.
Yes.
All right, so you parried 8. Is that what that says?
4 is
four
the
before
actual
it got
number. It was
pushed.
4
It was the one you
push.
pushed.
Oh, okay. I was like, holy shit.
It was
So
4 or
yeah,
5.
so this thing comes and the fangs and just this like milkshake consistency just spit just spreads from its mouth as it's coming for you. How do you parry with rust bite?
And I feel like the sword knows it's supposed to fight demons, right? And so you can almost feel it as it moves towards and basically pushes and slides away to make sure that these teeth get kind of slid off to the side and he doesn't get me.
So the edge of the sword doesn't hit its head, but the flat of the sword, as you just are kind of pushing and parrying it and moving your body out at the same time, kind of knocks this thing off to your left, off to its right, as it's headed for Aldrich. Homeboy is now trying to climb the palisades and trying to open the doors, but one man can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to change the order?
Yes, I want to go last.
Okay.
Okay, I'll allow it.
I think other than that, we're good.
So am I now engaged with the demon, or has the demon passed me?
You are still engaged with the demon.
Okay.
And Greg, it's last of us, right? Or can we move below? Can she wait
I think
until after the demon?
we can only swap our slots.
That's
correct.
what I
Yeah,
thought.
I'm going to fix it here real quick.
All right, cool.
Like,
there we go.
Yes, it's standing next to you. When you parried it, was it like you were like dodging a bull?
It's pretty cool.
Olay.
All right, so right now I've got Sten, Osric, Aldrich, Vasilla. Is that the order we want to go?
Mm-hmm.
Works for me.
Sure.
Okay, Sten, you have moved towards the longhouse.
Right.
For
so you're
reference,
kind of
you
to
want
the-
to stay
you're-
within short of me. Just for...
Sure.
Okay, and you stop within short.
Mm-hmm.
Bow ready.
Okay, so obviously the demon is focus number 1, but just at a quick glance, what's happening with the girl and the other guard?
The other guard has fled
Good.
to also get his way, and the girl is on the ground shocked.
Sure, that is
So
the
she's-
safest place for her, right?
Covered in blood,
Mm-hmm.
with the lower half of whoever this was with her in
Right.
this cage
Mhm.
next to her.
All right,
Good.
so
carry all of our
she
things.
is not an immediate threat, so it's time to focus the bow on the demon. I don't know nothing about demons. I don't know about weak points. I don't know about magic. I'm just gonna try and shoot it any place that looks vaguely soft, and we'll see what happens.
All right.
So my gear bonus is down to 1, which it's got. I've got sharpshooter, and the modifier from Vasilla we said was skill dice.
Yep, it's +2, and then aren't you also going to aim? Because you don't have to knock an arrow, do you?
That's true. I can aim, and I don't. I can't shoot twice yet. So, all right. So,
So that-
2
and
skill
so the
dice from Vasilla,
And then 1 for the aim.
another skill die. All right. Cool. Try and find a good spot.
Ooh.
I found a good spot.
Are
I'm
we
not going
pushing?
to push it.
Okay.
No.
So give me two real quick. I need two arrow rolls.
Oh, good point. First one. Is it 1 to 3 or 1 to 2? No, it looks like it's just 1 or 2.
Yeah,
All
one
right,
or two.
And the second one. All right, we're good.
All right, so you're in good
I'm
shape.
well stocked.
All right, so he's going to hold back one of these.
All right,
So that's going to be 2 damage.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so the arrow comes and it slices the back of his neck. So it doesn't go into it or anything, but you see it draw blood. You see that just this black seeping like molasses blood just come from the arrow and just fly off the arrow as it comes flying by. Osric?
That's right, you big bastard.
So I'd like to try to make sure that I'm positioned between the demon and Aldrich, so that it still has to come through me.
Got it. We can do
To get
that as
that
a
way?
fast action.
And then I will take another swing with.
Actually, Aldrich would probably shout, Osric, give me an opening.
And I'll take another swing. And the 2 for Priscilla.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's not a great roll, is it?
It's a hit.
So right now you're set for 2 damage before armor.
I guess I'm gonna have to push it.
Okay.
Go.
Push it real good.
Ooh,
That was real good.
Oh.
See a lot more 6s.
Oh.
Yes, please.
That'll be better.
That's much more better.
Yeah. A little
Well,
bit.
So 1 damage applied to strength, 1 damage
1
to
damage applied to
rustbite,
the sword.
Yeah, don't
8
break Rustbite,
8
please.
total damage, 7 successes. Hold on, I want to see the. Oh, you got 2 of those from rustbite, pushing it from a 2 to an 8. You see that? You can click on it; it'll show you the dice.
Nice.
Oh, look at
cool.
that.
Awesome.
All right, let's
Very
see.
Oh,
No protection from the armor
Yeah.
whatsoever. That's a total of 8
Suck it, demon
damage.
boy.
Jeez.
It's a good push. Solid push.
How do you kill it?
Oh my gosh.
Oh!
So I imagine it's more of a flurry of slashes as he just back and forth, and I'm imagining that the damage comes from nicking teeth and hitting claws and hitting bone and things of that nature, and he's just hollering and yelling it like a madman as he goes at it.
And Osric, I don't know what you anticipated as you took that first chop at this thing. It's solid, right? It's just pure demonic muscle. And that first chop goes, and it goes deeper than you put into it. Like this sword, you said it best. This sword has one job, and you were there to help it. And it cuts in, and it's like you're chopping wood back at Oakenheart, and the first swing just chops the wood right in half. So the first one comes down, and it comes to right at its shoulder, and the arm just flies, like you cut right through it, and the arm goes, and it immediately forces the demon to the ground. So even though it was headed for Aldrich, you kind of block it from it, and you come down and you slice it, and its head turns. Like, I'm not even sure it was scared of you before. It turns to you, and it is chopping wood, and you just start slicing this thing into pieces. It looks like the Don't Tread on Me broken snake as you're just chopping it into slices. But as that's happening, as each chop goes, the pieces that fall off start to come back to what they were before. So the black molasses that was its blood before on the pieces that are taken off by you turn red, and what was scales turns back to flesh. The hand that you chop off just visibly just cranks back. You hear the bones cranking back to his hands as the black nails fall off of it. And by the time your flurry of just pure hate fueled by you and fueled by this. All that's left there are just the pieces of this Rust brother.
Great. Now I've killed a Rust brother. That should be fine, right?
I helped.
That's true. Now we've killed a Rust
Yeah,
brother.
that goes on all of us. That's
Yeah,
That's right.
sure.
Now we've killed a Rust brother.
I didn't attack. I don't know what your problem is.
Uh-huh.
I sang him a
You
nice
added
song.
at least 6 dice to that attack, though.
So
Priscilla, I think you're gonna want to write down Ostric the Demon Slayer.
Aldrich,
Uh-huh.
you're next. And you see the purest violence from Ostric that you've ever witnessed. And not just from Ostric. This is probably the purest violence you've ever seen. And immediately, not being an idiot, you're in threat assessment mode. So next threat, you look and you see our man has squeezed himself through the gate. So he's gone. Next threats are all these guards. And that's when you turn to your left and to your right and you see them falling apart.
Ooh.
And the smell of decay gets stronger as skin starts to melt away and limbs start to fall off of them. And by the time that's over, and by the time Vasila understands what's happening, by the time Sten begins to process it, by the time the black blood of this demon has turned into just red human blood pouring down Ostric, covered in it, like Tarantino covered in blood. It appears there's only 5 people left in here alive. The 4 of you and the woman who's cowering next to the stake.
Wind and weather, Ostrich. What did you do?
It was going to kill them. We had to stop it.
I mean, yeah, but
He killed a bloody demon.
I know.
Well,
I
get
was
the
there!
girl, dummy.
Yes. Oh my god.
Yeah, someone who's a little more personable than Sten should probably do that.
So we see Aldrich immediately running towards the girl as we fade to black. We're going to go to credits. We'll be back on the other side.
Mm.
You guys missed all the cheering during the credits.
Yeah.
Nate was visceral.
Yeah, they was going ham on the excitement.
So I'm probably going to start, if it's okay, I'm going to start with you, Dave, because you have as much experience as anybody here with this game. It's just not here, right, at this game. So I'd like to get a sense of a comparative, and either, because it's been several months since we've played or since you've played. I'm going to phrase it differently, Dave. What taste in your mouth did Forbidden Lands have over the last couple months? Were you missing it? Were you like, yeah, if we play, we'll play? I know you're excited to play with me, so you don't have to.
Wow.
But I mean, system-wise, I don't think I've really had this conversation with you, how you have felt about the 4 sessions, 5 sessions, Jim? How many?
Yeah, about something like
Sounds
that.
It's like
about right.
4 or 5 sessions. Yeah.
I think. I guess I've been. Like, it wasn't super like missing Forbidden Lands as like a system, but I think like today was different, right? Today like really landed for like Forbidden Lands landed for me today, right? Because it
Interesting.
was it felt grindy in previous sessions.
Yep.
And I have no interest in dungeons and accounting. Like, it's just unimportant to me. And so that was, so I felt like it kind of got bogged down that way. And this time I felt like we did not get bogged down. Like, we started to a little bit with like quarter days and what are we doing and let's go, but it passed through pretty well. And the thing I really like about Forbidden Lands, not Forgotten Lands, Forbidden Lands, that I think came through both sessions is I really like the feel of discovering stuff.
Yeah.
Like the accounting part is like, I get it. It's kind of interesting a little bit, but also it's just like we've got 3.
It's a little game boardy.
Yeah, which is just not my gig for
Yep.
RPGs, but it's fun enough. But like when you discover new stuff, you're like, what the hell is going on? Or when you're like describing this like transforming, you're like, oh, you didn't say it's Medusa or like whatever, like, or some kind of weird snake, whatever Wanty or some kind of thing. You're like describing, you're like, oh,
It didn't come out of a monster manual, right?
yeah, exactly. It
Yeah.
didn't feel like it, and I really like that part of the game.
Excellent. So
Plus, like, there's like people go like Super Saiyan sometimes. It's awesome.
yeah. So Casual Cultist says, I have a question. When is Rustbite getting a nerf? Am I right?
Please no.
Well, we're never going to fight a demon again, so it's probably fine.
Speaking of which, Jim, kind of the same thing for you. Did you miss Forbidden Lands? Because you've been watching us too, right?
I have.
Where did this session land for you?
So I find myself missing it, and I think one of the things that I kind of struggle with is that in this system, I feel like I have a ton of characters in a backlog, and so it's like, oh, when the dwarf dies, I've got this goblin that's sort of waiting, and there's a slightly different variant of that goblin that's waiting for if ever poor Osric dies. And it's like, well, he has a completely different role to fill here, so he can't do the exact same guy because he would never work. I like a lot of the mechanics, and those are the kind of things that I miss. Is that imminent danger where no matter what it is you're doing, you're actually in danger, right? You can be foraging, you could be fishing, and you can be trying to size up the guy who's telling you about his base camp, and you're in danger of dropping at that point. I think that's very interesting.
How about for you, Brian? Where did this land? Well, first of all, did you miss it? Or did you miss the table?
Well, I mean, I missed the table. I missed these characters. I missed Sten because I have grown to like the crotchety old. I do enjoy the system a lot, especially when I'm playing it. It's not like, I was sitting and saying, man, I can't wait to go back and, roll a bunch of D6s to see if I kill a deer or not. But I really enjoy playing with you as a GM, and I like the story we're telling. I like these characters, and the system works really well for what we're doing.
Nate?
Yeah, I have to agree. It comes down to this. I mean, we've got a good table, and I think because like we're not full hero mode. We didn't jump in immediately like, they have prisoners. We must attack. But like we ride that line of like, yeah, we're out here for ourselves, but okay, you're at the point you're summoning a demon. Maybe we should do something. So I think we've got a really great table dynamic here. And yeah, I've been missing having Aldrich on the table. I really like that. I like the dynamics of everyone's characters here, but Aldrich especially, I feel I have a really swingy role where I can just I have big moments and then like I'm out of power. Gotta find some other options.
I love Vasila's skin because like she has been like, we've had 3 players be able to just like fit right in there and just bring a little bit each time to her. So hats off, Dave, for jumping in
Absolutely.
with 2 hours
Thank you.
notice and just grabbing on and going with this, because you haven't been watching us. You and
No.
I had a little powwow, for about 20-30 minutes where I kind of walked you through some stuff. But I also knew when you said yes that I was like, okay, it's gonna be fine. Like all my stress just immediately
I
went
would have
away.
assumed you at least had seen a couple streams, because like you
Oh
you
no,
had the,
Dave.
you had the character at least tied in well enough that it was like,
Yeah, Dave is phenomenal,
be
and
proud.
what we're trying to do is get Dave to run blades for us locally.
that would be
Like
nice.
stoked.
Yeah, which is great. And if people have heard me talk about it, both Dave and Jim are part of the camping crew. So we go camping all the time together and do a lot of RPGing and board gaming. So Sidewinder asked a question in the chat, Sidewinder, and it's something I was going to bring up either way, but he says, is this a published location encounter or your work, Craig? And this is going to be a little meta, which I'm fine with, because I know the 4 of these players, and Maeve, if and when she comes back, can handle us being a little meta. This is me showing off the system, because I kind of knew north, south, west, east, right? I have a kind of a general idea. I know, if we ended up just traveling for this whole session, I would have been okay with that, because we would have had some encounters that pop up, and it wouldn't have been just everybody eats and goes and then we move and eats and goes and stuff. Like the system is built. It turned out they had no encounters in the random encounter table as they went, but I also wanted some things, some adventure sites to be there. And I was trying to think for along this coast here, what I wanted there. So I went through all of the Raven's Purge sites. I went through the one site remaining in the core book, which they have not visited. And then there's a couple really nice on a drive-through RPG. There's a couple really nice homebrews people have published, creating their own sites. And I was just like none of them felt right. None of them felt right for where these people were. None of them felt good for this session if it were to happen. So I was like, you know what? Screw it. I went to the back of the book and I rolled up an adventure site using all random tables. And that's where all of this came from.
That's pretty cool.
So the Outpost, the oddities that were here that made this place weird. There was a random demon. Now, so what's neat about this, in the same way that you have kind of this toolkit, for like the Hollows and Weatherstone are toolkits. So there's no like, room 1, room 2, and like everything's mapped out and everything. What they do is they say, here's what's happening here, right? And here's the key rooms about this, and let your people play and just feel good about it, right? And just understand what's happening and let the story kind of unfold. That's the idea behind this. And by the way, the Alien RPG is very similar in this way. It's something that's also shared with Free League as well. They do a great job with how they build these their modules. So for the past 2 days, I just put out the results and I just started piecing it together, and it changed when I met you. So there were some changes I was making on the fly to make it feel good. And it's the second time I did this to you guys at the home game once too. You guys went to a random adventure site at the home game. This one felt better to me. It felt more organic. It felt right. I think I did a better job of tying it to the world a little bit better. Like I said, you know what, he's going to be from the Hollows, right? And there's going to be, the tide of the rust, and like I wanted it to feel more lived in, and I was really happy to see it land. I was really happy to kind of see it groove. I didn't know how I wanted to transition into the demon, and I struggled with that. Like I knew it was going to be a sacrifice situation. I thought about the demon coming up from the ground, right? And then like literally I was like, fuck it, the Rust Brothers, the demon. Like that happened as we were talking live.
It
I was
so
like,
good.
like,
was
that's what's
great.
gonna happen.
That
That's
was
what's gonna happen.
amazing.
Is this son of a bitch is gonna turn into the demon. So that was fun, guys. God, that was fun. I missed playing with
super
all of you.
fun.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
good.
Good game.
So we will keep following us on all the socials to keep track of everything. Let me quickly bring up the schedule of what's coming, but that if you want to catch the next one of these, that's the best way to know what's happening. We're taking a little bit of break for the holiday, of course, but what's coming up next is the 30th. We've got Achtung Cthulhu. So it's the World War II. We're one session in. This will be the second session. It uses the Modifius 2D20 system. We had a lot of fun that first session. Very anxious to see what happens in the second session. Second session of Call of Cthulhu is going to be at 1 o'clock on December 4th. That was another one where we had a lot of fun. Did you watch that one yet, Dave?
Nope.
You got to watch that. I think it's one that you would love. And then following that, we of course got Mothership coming on the 5th. The next day, and then Icons episode 3, where you get to see Jim.
I don't think I saw you put a Mothership in the middle there.
I did.
It's new on the schedule.
I know. Then Icons is going to be on December 7th for issue 3 of Icons. So stay tuned. Thanks to everybody. If you're not a patron, as for little as $1 a month, you help fuel me and make sure all of this happens. All 4 of these guys are patrons, as they get first dibs on any seat at my table as an appreciation. As you have seen, the patron community is amazing. All of the players that have been on this stream were all patrons, and we've just got a really neat community, Discord, all that stuff. If you don't want to support us on Patreon, just give me a quick like, subscribe, quick follow, all the stuff. It was great seeing everybody in chat. I feel like it's been forever since I've had a chance to see you all interact with each other. But let's go ahead and do a quick raid. So give me just a moment. Any plugs or shout outs? Brian, you've got a plug.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always happy to promote the Ascent of Board Games, which is my monthly board game podcast. We basically pick a theme of games and talk about how they evolve the way they are, and mostly bitch at each other and talk about games we like. But it's a lot of fun. You can find it at ascentofboardgames.com.
It's a great podcast. Great podcast.
And you know podcasts, mister.
I do. I've heard of them before. I've got to look into it. Nate.
Yeah, for the several Malifaux folks, give Steam Powered Scoundrels a listen. Me, the Bromans, Doug and Victoria, and Roman, and others talk, silly stuff about Malifaux. Not the most meta focused, but we have fun. So if you like that kind of thing,
podcast.
Oh, thank you, Brian.
Brian, give us that link one more time.
Ascent of Board Games.
Ascent as in climb, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yep, Ascent of Board Games. Dave, Jim, any plugs?
I think we're good this time.
All right, let's go ahead. Now I'm going to take you guys. We're going to raid a channel that really needs some viewers. These guys do really good work. I don't know if you've heard of them, Glass Cannon. There's only right now, I think only like 5,000 people watching them right now. But if you have not watched Glass Cannon, they're phenomenal. And by the way, Joe is running the game right now. I'm not sure what they're playing, but Joe has been a guest on my show. The episode has not been released yet, but it's a great episode. So when you guys get there, let the Glass Cannon know you came from the 3rd floor. I appreciate everybody watching.
Good night, everybody.
Night.
All right. Raid in 2, 1. Raid now.